Well, we all hung out the other night, and Danny and I got into a little bit of an argument.
Yes.
I wrote down word for word.
Oh, yeah, she started quoting me.
Danny said,
Umbridge
Umbridge isn't that bad. And I yelled, because it was already loud in there,
right,
so I yelled
right.
even louder. She tortured a 15-year-old. And in response to that, he said it was all in good fun. That's when I stopped the conversation and said, we'll
you're
continue
like, I better
at
stop
the podcast.
or we're going to be in trouble.
So please explain to me how torturing a 15-year-old is
it's
all
just
in
all
good
in good fun. An annoying
No.
kid, you just...
No, even if this was like the first torturous thing that Harry went through, that's terrible. This has got to dredge up like...
It's true. But here's the thing. Well, I did say it all in joking, but I feel like I need to defend it on principle. For example, Hedwig caused Ron and Hermione to bleed when Hedwig was on instructions from Harry.
Hedwig is an animal.
It's true. And so is Umbridge. She's a toad.
She's a human being. She looks like a toad.
So here's the thing. In the wizarding world, is blood that bad? Because the thing is,
oh my goodness,
blood brought Voldemort back.
well, see that's why my theory is this writing whatever is a little more powerful. I think not all that blood is ending up on the paper. Some of it might be getting stored in vials in some secret room
It's not just about
somewhere.
drawing blood. She is hurting him.
But I'm more concerned with the emotional side of this detention than the
Yeah.
physical pain. Like the physical pain to me, I'm like, whatever. Like we all know. Oh, actually, we don't. But we suspect that Harry could tell somebody. And if he did, I think Umbridge would not be able to get away with this. Whether it's McGonagall, Dumbledore, Sirius, literally any adult that we trust, it would be taken care of. But he is not. So I found myself more annoyed with Harry because he's allowing the injustice to continue.
But this is what he knows. He had to hide from the Dursleys, not hide from them, but like everything that he endured with the Dursleys, he had to just subdue it because there was nothing he could do. He had no one else to tell or confide in. So unfortunately, this is like his
his default setting.
Yeah, but like this is happening and he just closed in and he's like, all right, this is what I have to do to survive.
Because no one really, people know about the Dursleys, but they just know they're horrible people. They don't know the extent. He's never really talked about the extent of what they've done to him.
Right.
So I guess
That's
he's
true.
holding it in with Umbridge too, because this is the fault.
At least that's what I felt. Like
Yeah.
he just went into default mode. That's why you pissed me off so much the other night.
I guess the thing is, when I'm looking at Umbridge, she's obnoxious, but I still don't hate her. Like
Danny, how?
I know.
What more do you need to hate her?
The thing is, I look at her and I'm just thinking, I try to imagine what each character is thinking. And so from her side, I'm like, she's on the Ministry. She doesn't trust Dumbledore for whatever reasons. We don't know yet, whatever. Maybe Dumbledore wasn't on the Wizengamot when she was there and there was whatever. So she doesn't know him and she just doesn't like him. All right, she's a grump. That's weird. But then she gets to school and Harry is a terrible student and disrupting her class. And I'm like, okay, I'm tracking. If I was in her shoes, I would not be a fan of Harry.
And you would do this?
I would do whatever a reasonable punishment is.
Fight you.
Because doing lines at Hogwarts is totally normal. That sounds like a weird statement in the drug culture. Writing lines as a detention, it's not abnormal at all. So I'm genuinely wondering, classic school, you get slapped on the back of the wrist with a ruler. That you would literally get slapped right there with a ruler. So then I'm like, all right, well, how far is this? In the wizarding world, you can break limbs and then just get fixed. You can be blood literally gushing out of your arm because Hagrid was irresponsible and let a hippogriff too close to a student.
But he wasn't doing it on purpose. She is purposely causing pain physically and emotionally and taking joy out of it. Fight me on this.
Taking joy. Yeah, I guess there's a little bit of joy.
Oh.
Satisfaction, maybe.
Anyone else want to?
I feel like this is
Back me up here?
satisfaction for him too.
Wait, for who?
You.
Oh,
It's back
no
and
way.
forth.
Because I just genuinely want to understand the characters. And
and
view
Umbridge is the worst.
I view her as, like, pretty bad, but not as bad as Snape.
Wow.
I've been more annoyed at Snape this whole time. And then Umbridge
Why?
comes along and I'm like, if her worst thing is just like this blood thing on the back of the hand, like in my mind, it felt like it was painful in the moment, but like it heals up right away. And Harry was being really
it
stubborn.
doesn't.
What?
He still has it written.
Because he did it for 7 days straight or 5 days straight, for hours each night. But like each one was kind of minor. So I guess I'm like, I get it. I totally understand why you guys would hate on Umbridge because
My eye's going to start twitching.
she's worth hating. But also, like, what fun is that if we're all just like, yeah, we hate Umbridge. She's the worst.
I can't even say
well, you
anything
know what?
because
You're the
Danny,
worst.
Yeah, Danny is in. I'm like in a minority opinion with some of my Harry Potter theories. Like, I love Trelawney, and no one really loves Trelawney. But the opinion that Danny has now, where she's not that good, is maybe the most minority. I've never heard of
he's
anybody
standalone right
in
now.
human existence that has read these books up until this point and been like, she's not that bad. Everyone universally hates her. It does not matter. There's debates for who is
makes
worse, Umbridge or Voldemort.
Oh my word. Because the
like-
thing is, what has Umbridge done? This is the worst she's done.
She just got here, and this is the worst she's done.
She interrupted somebody. She's being rude, like all these things. I'm just like, she's just a clueless old lady. Okay, old toad lady.
She's not clueless.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you think it's all calculated, very
yes.
like intentional?
Oh, yeah.
That's
So
fair.
even in the trial, she seemed very calculated in the trial. She was hiding in the shadows and she kind of came forward.
Yep.
Everything does seem somewhat calculated with her. And in the same breath, also, she does seem like an airhead. Like, she does seem like she's doing these things because she's just going along with how the ministry wants her to do things. She's a robot. What?
I'll wait until you're done.
No, I'm done.
No, we're going to get into it. But in the beginning of this book, or is it this chapter when she touches him and Harry's like scar?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. Voldemort turned into Umbridge.
I was ready to be like annoyed at her then, but then we're kind of left wondering, did it have anything to do with it or was it pure
And
luck?
then I was like, then that's so easy because then Fudge could be under the control of Voldemort.
So according to this theory, which is interesting,
Is that
do you actually believe it though? Do you
I don't
believe
know.
she's
All
Voldemort?
these theories I throw out there, I believe for a little bit, and then I don't believe it, and then I believe it, then I don't believe it.
I don't know.
I have to see more,
I have to see more as well.
but it would be a great cover.
Yeah. I don't know why I was so annoyed at Harry for just not telling Ron and Hermione what was going on. Ron had to pull it out of him, and Harry only admitted it because of guilt, because Ron just told him about the practicing for Quidditch. So I'm just like, Harry, just grow up and tell your friends. Just like tell people around you. Trust people. But I get it. He's never had that before. But now I'm like, when will that become, if ever, his instinct? Something's going on. Let me share it.
Yeah. I always think, again, going back to the Dursleys, it's like his default setting. It takes, how many years was he there? And like, those were crucial forming years. So now he has to learn how to undo that before it can become natural.
Yeah.
So it's going to me, it would take a while, I think.
A long time.
And
Yeah.
the people on chat are mentioning a few things. He's doing it as a test of wills with Umbridge. And then he's doing it out of stubbornness to not feed in. So I don't admire why Harry is not, well, I kind of admire the reasons of why he's not telling other people. But at the same time, you want him to tell other people because other people would shut this down immediately.
Right.
But I think because of my utter hatred of Umbridge, I like that he's in a standoff with her.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah, exactly. You're like,
So
it's
stubborn.
between them two and them two only. That's not really the issue, but Harry is like, I'm going to win. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm going to have the satisfaction after all this to know that I won and I defeated her. I beat her at her own game. So there's a little bit of that, but people are also wondering if you are somewhat related to Umbridge.
It is my last name after all.
Danny Umbridge.
And maybe, you know what? Maybe the Battle of Wills is part of what makes me not hate her. It's almost like if you're wrestling with someone and you have them in an arm bar and you're trying to get them to tap, and then they don't tap and you apply more pressure, and they don't tap and you apply more pressure, at some point their arm will break. And then do you blame the person who put them in the armbar? No, you blame the person who was too stubborn to tap out. Like, if you've been defeated, tap out. And if you haven't, you persevere, you know? And Harry's persevering. But I feel like that's Harry telling us as the readers he can handle what he's going through. He knows he could get out of it anytime by telling anybody. He's choosing not to. So because of that, I'm not gonna hold it against Umbridge. She's like, it's almost like doing those lines at the beginning, right at the beginning. Yeah. Like when she first said do this and Harry's like, whoa, this kind of stinks. If Harry was a different student, he might have been like, either I'm going to leave and tell someone right now, or okay, I'm so sorry I did that in your class. I won't do it again. And if he was genuine about that, it would have been over instantly. But we love that Harry didn't do that. He's not tapping out. He's like pushing through it. But then I'm like, oh, I'm not going to blame her for that. She's like using her power to the fullest extent, and Harry is willing to take it. You hate her too.
No, I do. But what I'm thinking too is like Harry has a really smart friend, Hermione. Why can't he figure out how to reverse it and put it on her when he's writing things? Can it write on Umbridge's hand instead?
That'd be pretty intense. Or a little protection on his own hand, or
like a jinx. I don't even know if that's the right thing.
You're right, but he's not. He's just gritting his teeth.
It would be really
pain.
funny. Like he's like, okay, I'll show up and I will not lie, and it starts popping up on the back of Umbridge.
On her forehead. That'd be great.
That'd be so good.
I think there's a differentiating factor in all of this too. I think in this point in the book, you are so used to like counter jinxes and like counter curses, like someone can reverse something. But there's certain things that come up that we've seen right now that they seem like more immediate magic. I don't know what the word is, like almost darker forms of magic where it's this pen alone and you can't reverse anything that this pen has done. Like you write with this pen and it's going to like, there's no counter curse to something like that. And there's no counter curse to a bunch of different stuff. But if there's anybody who can figure it out, it's Hermione. Harry should go to her and be like, Hermione, you are an encyclopedia. Tell me what I can do to make this better. Like she has the Murtlap essence, right? That he dunks his hand into. That makes him feel better. But that's the only thing. I'm sure she's, if there's anybody who knows something to fix this, it's her.
Mm-hmm. But then that just makes me think, I mean, I know I go back and forth with this, but like if she has a pen like that, she's not a good person. And to me, evil means you're siding with Voldemort.
But that theory was, not theory, or that idea of good and evil was pushed against in these chapters. Do you remember that line? I forget what it was.
No, I'm sure
Sirius
I wanted to ignore it. So
no, but Sirius just said it's not so simple as Death Eaters and good.
Yeah, I know.
And so it's just that idea of like Umbridge to me is a bad person, but not a Death Eater. I don't view her as associated with Voldemort yet, unless that thing with the scar was an actual Voldemort connection with Umbridge. But I still view the Ministry, Fudge, Umbridge, I'm still viewing them all as weird, scared, some of them bad, but not. I
still don't
evil.
like that phrasing though. Like they're not Death Eaters. Like it just, to me, it's like if you're not on the good side, I still don't get.
Then you think they're a Death Eater?
No, but like they're all on the same side. Death Eaters and the evil ones are the same.
They're kind of on the same side, but there's a slight difference. I think I was trying to think of this question because it was such an interesting one. What the real difference is between some of these people, and I think there's a differentiating factor. And there's people on that we would classify as on the bad side. Like I think all of us except maybe Danny would classify Umbridge being on the bad side.
I would too. Yeah.
But Death Eaters are people trying to overcome death with Voldemort. It's like an extension. It's like a little denomination of the bad people. It's like they're the most extreme because Voldemort is trying to overcome death. That's why they're called Death Eaters. And he is trying to live forever to perpetuate his ideas. And the rest of the Ministry, they're all into that stuff. Like there's a bit of pure blood mania going on right now. And I think the difference is just one is a bit more extreme than the other.
But they're the same. Like
Yeah.
It's just like the same umbrella. It's
Yeah.
evil, and then like, yeah, I get that they're doing this, but like to me, it's like what makes you sway to become it? Like you're already on that side, so
Yeah.
one little thing would make you sway
Yeah.
to support him more. I don't know.
I mean, there's
I
like,
know I'm outnumbered here, but I just don't.
Because there's a weird
agree.
part in this book where, yeah, the world isn't split into good people and Death Eaters, but at the same point in this book, they're pretty much split into good people and Death Eaters. There's no real neutral character in these books. Like, can you think of a person who is just that you've encountered so far who has just been neutral? Like
not
Seamus,
good, not
maybe
bad.
right now, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're
Like
right.
we
He
like
could be.
Seamus, but he's like stupid at this moment.
I feel like a lot of the people on the Wizengamot were not, they were almost kind of neutral. Like the ones who aren't willing to speak up for good, but when Dumbledore is making the case, they're like, all right, yeah, that makes sense. All right, yeah. Because they were willing to vote for Harry after the case was made, but they weren't really standing up for him when he was alone. So just they feel kind of neutral there. And maybe I view a lot of the ministry, like the majority of the ministry I'm viewing as that. Because I'm viewing those as true representatives of the ministry or of wizards, where you got the extremes like Fudge and Umbridge, but then you have the other good people who are literally like, we're going to step down from this because we disagree with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is kind of like neutral in the middle. They're not going to say anything. They're just going to go with the flow. And they could be convinced either way.
Yeah. And there's different ways to fight. Like there's different people on the dark side fighting in different ways that they're trying to do. Death Eaters are fighting in an extreme way, but someone, Toodles even said not all good people are in the Order of the Phoenix either. Like
Yeah,
there's people
right.
who are good. Like I think there's a really interesting example in these chapters of
But I'm not good
Grubbly
and bad.
Plank.
I'm saying evil people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she is evil. I
Yeah.
think she's torturing a kid.
Yeah.
Bad.
She's
I don't know.
100% on the evil side, but she's not a Death Eater. Because she's not.
I know
trying to
bad
overcome
like
death.
people that are robbing or whatever. Like I can't think of any other names, but yeah, I know
Dumb.
that they're not.
Dumb.
Yeah, but that's I'm thinking people like that where I'm like, is he good or evil?
Yeah.
He's almost evil, but a fun, pleasant person who believes in Dumbledore and whatever.
I guess it
Like
depends on what they're doing.
it's more dynamic than just like good or evil. It's like, yeah, it really depends. And that's where I'm almost like, oh man, on some deeper level, I'm viewing a lot of these ministry people as like being evil or good, but not even necessarily caring about that. It's more of the big question of would they support Dumbledore or Voldemort if it came down to that choice? Or would they support Fudge or Dumbledore if it came down to that choice? And then even on the evil side, I'm like hoping there will be a split because right now I'm thinking, people are evil and maybe in some way the most extreme evil are the Death Eaters, just like the most extreme good is the Order of the Phoenix. But then what happens if Lucius says, Voldemort, I'm done with you. I'm backing down. And then he creates a little rebellion. He's not going to be good. He's still going to be an evil guy, but he just doesn't want to do what Voldemort is doing. Like Voldemort suggests something and he's like, I'm not down with this. There could be two groups of evil, two factions that are fighting against each other, but then can unite in the good. And I'm hoping that's what happens with the Ministry and Hogwarts, and Dumbledore could then unite against Voldemort. And then all of a sudden Fudge would become a good guy again, or like other people in the Ministry would be like, oh, all right, Voldemort's actually back. Then yeah, we're good. And then all of a sudden our mindset on a lot of these people would change because it'd go from they're evil to, oh, they were just scared. Okay, cool. Well, now we'll welcome them to the fold, and we'll still have some slight bitterness, but at least we can unite against Voldemort. But I don't know. Maybe you guys would never let Umbridge in.
If she would stop torturing teenagers, yeah.
Well, torture smorcher,
Oh my gosh, Danny.
Well, we'll see if Danny's opinions change as we keep going on this
Good
podcast.
Lord.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
Jen.
Danny.
And Kristen.
This is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Well. You're someone who's listening to this podcast, but you might not have rated and reviewed us. And it's just a free way to help the podcast out. So please just go wherever you're at. If you're in the subway, if you're in your car, don't really do it in your car, but wait till you park. if you're just listening to this at home and you're doing the dishes, just pause the dishes and go rate this podcast and go review it as well. We love reading reviews. We love knowing what we can do better on this podcast. Also, if you're just chilling here and you haven't joined our subreddit community, it's so much fun. There's so many Harry Potter nerds. We're not really even talking about the podcast so much as we're just talking about, well, we are. We're talking about Danny and Jenn's theories, and it's really, really fun. But we're just talking about all things Harry Potter, and it's unbelievably enjoyable. Please go check us out there. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube, where we are live streaming each of these podcasts. You can support us on Patreon. We don't really have any extra content, but that is probably the best way you can support us. If you want bookmarks or stickers, and you want like a Hogwarts acceptance kind of letter for your induction into the first time readers, email firsttimereaders@gmail.com and I will send you some merch so you can spread it around to anybody else that you know. You can put bookmarks in little Harry Potter books in bookstores. And we are actually looking to start selling a little bit of merch. We don't really know exactly what to sell yet. We're maybe just going to do some of the general sweatshirts and shirts or something like that. Maybe some socks, maybe some knit scarves and hats in honor of Dobby. But we're trying to figure all that kind of stuff out. So if you have any interest, again, email me and let me know what you'd be interested in, and we can start building that out. But enjoy these chapters where some of the theories run rampant, and we all just try to convince Danny where Umbridge is really the worst. So enjoy these chapters 13 to 15 of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
What an intro.
Oh boy.
So we're on detention with Dolores. Chapter 13.
Here we go.
Yeah, let's see. Let's refresh my memory.
You apparently need a big refresher.
Maybe you didn't read it.
Yeah. Oh, is that what happened? I forgot.
Someone give me a summary of this chapter.
Hermione threatens to tell Molly about Fred and George's shenanigans. She's also knitting hats for the house elves. Classes are taking on heavier workloads for the kids. Harry misses Quidditch tryouts because of his detention. Umbridge is the worst. I wrote that. And Ron becomes keeper.
One of my questions, which was answered later in this chapter, but I'm going to ask you guys as a quiz. Why did Dumbledore hire Dolores Jane Umbridge?
Ugh.
I don't think he had a choice.
Yeah, so it was answered. He doesn't have a choice, right?
That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
He would never hire her.
But it does also make me wonder a little bit, like, how many other pressures there were in the past with other hirings.
I thought none, because now all of a sudden...
So you think it was like that? Like Dumbledore had full reign and then all of a sudden, like...
Because of this Voldemort is back or not.
Yep.
But also it seems like no one wants to be Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
It's cursed.
Like... I don't know if that was just an excuse or that was true. Like, what if he was trying to fill it and he literally couldn't find anyone? And then they had to fill it.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was just a way of getting her in.
Yeah. If you were in Dumbledore's position and you had to hire Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, who would you hire?
I don't know. Like, I would have
Sirius
tried for an
Black.
actual Moody.
That would be so good.
That would be great.
All right, guys, remember in the third book when everyone was scared this guy murdering everyone? Well, he's your Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher now.
He could just do polyjuice.
I was going to say,
like
do the
Mad Eye
polyjuice
Moody.
and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Make Sirius look like a toad for a whole...
Get rid of her, and then the rest of the semester.
That would actually be great.
Sirius
Dumbledore
Black
right.
takes a
Umbridge.
lesson out of the previous book, Goblet
Yeah.
of Fire, and he's like, this worked against us. Now let's make it work
Yeah.
for us. Sirius, take
Right.
polyjuice potion for a whole year. How fun would that be with like Harry going to Defense Against the
Yep.
Dark Arts, knowing it's his uncle?
I know.
That'd be
gosh.
Or
sweet.
godmother.
And then I was
Like,
like,
actually hang out with him.
oh,
Yeah.
we're not there yet. I'm going to forget, though. So I'm going to say it now.
What?
The chapter 15, when they're like, guess who? Hermione's like, we should have a Defensive Against the Dark Arts teacher. I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna go to the fireplace every night and have Sirius Black teach them. And they're like, you, Harry. I'm like, what? He doesn't know what
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it didn't make sense. But anyway.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that because in Harry's position, he just got lucky for a lot of those, or like something just happened.
It's
and
just
he
like,
was even
it's
saying that.
instinct,
Yeah.
also some of it.
Yeah.
Like, how do you reproduce that?
Yeah. And I think that's what they want. Ron and Hermione want to learn that, but it's something that you can't really teach, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
But he also is born that way,
Yeah.
which
He's the chosen one. Or is he? Dun, dun, dun.
I
No,
don't
I'm just
know.
kidding.
I still don't know how this ends. It's so annoying. Trying to figure it out.
So they're writing an essay on moonstones in this chapter.
Well. They
you
come
think-
up again.
Do you think that they're going to play a huge role in the future?
I hope so because it
has the word moon in it, right?
I'm like, yeah, moon.
How many times does it come up?
Well, only just this one. It's all been the same thing, basically. But we heard that a guy was going to the moon in the tabloid. And then moonstones came up in that chapter, which was whatever, 9, 8, whatever. And then this same however many inches they have to write has come up a few times, 3, 4 times. Because they keep bringing it up. Like, oh, we had thing we got to do for Snape. I guess we got to write that essay. That has come up not even as many times as Mimbulus Mimbletonia. So in my mind, both those things could easily come up at the end of the book as solutions to some major problems. But I just can't think how that plant would do anything.
Stink sap.
Could just shoot everywhere in a key moment.
I forgot. What
Right in Voldemort's eyes. But then a bunch of like 5th years were able to get rid of it with a couple spells, so
Yeah.
it can't be that powerful. But the plant was young. Maybe by the end it'll be huge, size of a person. And only loyal to Neville.
Yeah. Neville's going to have a huge role in this book of just having a bunch of stink sap plants. He's going to run around squirting people in the eye.
He can make little bombs out of them. I feel like we still don't know what Moonstone does, though. We know that it was an ingredient in the potion they were making during class, I believe. And is that the ingredient Harry forgot? And that's why they had to write the essay? I forget. But we don't know what it does, so I'm a little curious. Does the stone have power? Does it have to be ground into powder? So people can do lines. Well, I just had to bring
This
it
is
around
a
again.
children's book, Danny.
Right.
Oh, yeah, because there's nothing else hidden in these children's books.
But I don't
Not
know,
in the
like,
American version.
That's true. American version is very clean.
I have the dirty version. Sorry, what?
You get. I love
Did I
your
interrupt
brain
No.
processing of moonstones. It's. I never even. It doesn't even faze me.
It might be nothing. And because the books are getting bigger, like in the first and second book, there were only however many words, only what felt like looking back 100 pages. So she has to take some of those words and use it to give the hints of what's coming. But this book is so big. She's dropping character names and ideas and things that will never come up again. They're just like little red herrings or whatever that are thrown in here to keep us guessing or expand the wizarding world or something that won't come up later in this book, but in a future book. So
'Cause
Moonstone might be nothing.
She's led you astray, or she's done such a good job of building stories and leading you astray in certain things that you don't trust anything. So your guards are up for every single red herring. You guys were talking about the Umbridge moment when she touches him and he feels this pang in his scar in his forehead. You're like, okay, this seems like an obvious reference. Is this really is she Voldemort? But your flags are up. You don't automatically accept it because you're like, maybe this is too easy, but my guards are up right now.
Yeah. No, it's so true.
Yeah. It's not like in the first 2 books where you're making these theories and you're like sure of it. You're like,
Although
I don't know about any of this stuff.
we figured out Crouch.
I know, yeah. Which is
So-
Kind of.
I know.
I still hate that we were so far off because it wasn't like him, but it was.
What do you
him.
mean we were so
You
far off?
were as close as you could possibly be.
Yeah,
Legitimately.
while still being wrong, I guess. But it was
you're
still
one of
good.
those.
It was satisfying, but I wanted to really get
We
it.
literally said Crouch. Like that was
That's
their
true.
last name, and that's how he came up on Marauder's map, and that's
It's
who
true.
he is.
Danny wanted a revelation like he had in Prisoner of Azkaban, where he is all of a sudden listening to the podcast and everything clicks for him because I'm putting in subtle hints in it. And he's like, wait, this is it. And I had your
You're
whole
right.
voice recording.
That was good.
Wait, this is a real thing that
Yeah.
happened. I thought you were okay. never
No,
mind.
he
Yeah,
was
just with Scabbers and 13 years old. Like that, I was like, that's it.
Oh, and
I know
you guessed
exactly.
it?
everything just clicked for him at that moment.
Yeah.
And it was the same because everything kind of clicked for you with the Polyjuice potion thing and the Goblet of Fire, but you just didn't have enough information for it.
Well, there's no one ever
yes,
would have
exactly.
guessed it.
'Cause it
So that's
wasn't-
what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
would be the closest ever kind of guess.
According to what she wrote. Yeah, absolutely. Because she did not present anything to hint.
We all thought he was
at
dead.
that. Double polyjuice? Or triple? I don't remember.
Double. Mom, son.
Mom, son. Yeah.
Mad-Eye Moody.
And even that whole situation still feels sketchy to me.
There's another line. Let's talk about this because we'll get there when we get there. Bowtruckle, said Hermione. They're tree guardians. Usually live in wand trees. 5 points for Gryffindor, said Professor Grubbly Plank. So I have 2 questions about this. One is just a general, how rigged is this point system? Again, she just answers a question and gets 5 points when in the previous books, they defeated a fully grown mountain troll and got 5 points for that.
You're right.
But here is a different question. At this point in your reading, what is one thing that you want the books to go into? Like, what is there one area of magic that you're looking to discover, or is like, Gringotts really interesting to you? Is wand lore very interesting to you? Because they're talking about wand trees here, and I remember one of my friends when they were reading this for the first time, they read this line, and they said, "The book, I love the idea of wands, and the books talk about wands a little bit, but they don't go into it in depth and detail." He's like, all I want is for them to talk about more of wand lore and like figure out if there's like this a few wands that are better than others, or if there's like this undefeatable wand that if you have it, you'd never lose a battle or something like that, or anything like that. Is there one aspect of, and I remember he was like, that's all I want in these books. Is there one aspect in these books that you're looking forward, that you're hoping that these books go into?
I feel like there are a lot, to be honest. In this book in particular, I would love to see the giants. I want to see the giant villages and the battlegrounds where the giant battles took place, and like actually meet a bunch of giants wherever Hagrid and Madame Maxime went. Also, Egypt has come up a lot of times. I want to be in an Egyptian tomb with Ron, Harry, Hermione, and Bill, and Fleur. Bring her along too on the honeymoon. It'll be great. And I feel like that would be really awesome. I love that we actually got the Diagon Alley a little bit that I was hoping for in book 1. I really wanted to explore it more. So then by book 2, that was 2, right? Or maybe it was 3, where then we got to hang out there with Harry for a week or 2. That was really cool. Gringotts, maybe. All these unexplored caverns and caves could be cool. Ministry of Magic, certainly. What's going on underneath? How many levels down does it go? Is 9 or 10 the bottom, or is it deeper?
Well,
what's in all these secret things? What?
No, I was curious too, like the history before, like the first time with Voldemort's rising, like what did that look like? And like I know they touched it with like showing the picture, but like and just saying like how they died. But
You're right.
That would be more interesting to me, like what worked, what didn't work, where were the hiding spots, who turned on who, like that kind of thing. And then I'm really curious when Snape's story is going to come along, if that ever does. And like what Dumbledore, like what happened with Dumbledore and him that he trusts him so much.
You're right. A lot of things in the past, and we could go there with journals or with time turners, things like that. We could actually get a real good view of the past, but we haven't gotten much yet.
Because I think there's one part of these books do too, which Dolores Umbridge kind of overshadows some of Snape in this, where you still hate Snape. And you were saying before that you hate Snape more than you hate Umbridge. But Snape is such an interesting, weird character right now. Dumbledore seems to trust him. And at this point, you're like, Dumbledore can't really be wrong about things. But that's one of the questions that you just keep having to pop up. Is Dumbledore actually wrong about this? This is the question the trio always has when they're talking about Snape. What's the real reason that he trusts them? Is Dumbledore wrong? Like, even Dumbledore can be wrong. So they keep kind of dodging that question.
And we're wondering if Dumbledore can read minds or if he can see the future. And if any of that is true, I feel like he's culpable for anything Umbridge does. He brought her into school. If she is hurting Harry, that's the same as him putting a mountain troll in the school or anything else. Like, Dumbledore is responsible for the students and their safety. So if somebody or anything happens to a student, it's his responsibility. So maybe that's, again, part of why I'm not like being overly hating on Umbridge because she's just like a tool. She's just a teacher at the school. We can blame the ministry or whatever, but then again, it feels like we're saying if it's the ministry's fault, they're more powerful than Dumbledore. He just can't do anything. But then that also feels weird too. Dumbledore is seeing that Harry's getting tortured and saying it's all good, like he'll get through it and it's going to be worth it. And then it's all for some bigger, greater plan. I guess, but that feels like weird. I'm like, ooh. I'm starting to think Dumbledore can definitely be wrong or make mistakes because it feels like there have been a few times recently where he has reacted to things rather than seen them coming.
Maybe he's getting old. Maybe he's losing his touch.
Maybe. A lot of people think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's
two other I already forgot. Oh, the ancient magic. That's what I was going to bring up too. It would be neat to learn what that is more, like in their history classes. Like they can, well, they have the worst teacher, but the ghost, whatever his name is.
Bins.
Yeah. That would be neat to just learn a little bit more about that because obviously Dumbledore uses that and Voldemort is trying to learn that more. So I feel like that would be interesting.
I keep thinking of different like shows too, like a show like that on like the History Channel would be so fun. Or like you get like, Law and Order with all the Aurors. Or like cops
That would
with
be
with
awesome.
all the Aurors. They're making a show for that. Or like How It's Made. That show on Discovery. They're making
Oh
wands.
my goodness.
All that stuff
That would
so
be
good.
sick. How It's Made would be all about the wands.
I know. I'd be into that. What was the other thing you had, Jen?
I know. I lost it. I had two things while you were talking and then I forgot.
And you're right about, because you mentioned magic or different parts of magic. I still don't feel like I understand jinxes. That came up once here where they said counter jinxes is just a fancy word for a jinx or something.
Yeah.
But I'd love to learn more about some of this where I'm like, I just don't get some of it. And dark magic I'd want to learn more about because with what we were talking about before, whether things are good or evil, is that the same as dark and regular magic?
There's got to be some really good documentary about dark magic out there in the Harry Potter universe.
Like, are there good wizards who use dark magic, or is that just a path to the dark side? I don't fully get it.
Sounds like a Star Wars thing.
Yeah, no, it is. But does Dumbledore ever need to use curses? Is he using any of these unforgivable curses? What are they? Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. Or is that only what evil people do? But then what do good people do? Do good wizards ever kill people?
They want justice, but they're not gonna
Dumbledore,
murder.
did he have to kill Grindelwald?
And we don't even know what happened with that, too.
Yeah, we have no idea, but it helped Dumbledore rise to fame. And what curse did he use to kill him if he did? Or is he just locked up somewhere? Is he in Azkaban? Is he Voldemort? Is he truly dead, or is he coming back to help Voldemort later? So many questions.
We'll see. We'll figure this stuff out. There is another line, a little bit longer of a line, when they're coming out of the greenhouses, and it goes, the door of the nearest greenhouse opened, and some fourth years spilled out of it, including Ginny. Hi, she said brightly as she passed. A few seconds later, Luna Lovegood emerged, trailing behind the rest of the class, a smudge of earth on her nose, and her hair tied up in a knot in the top of her head. When she saw Harry, her prominent eyes seemed to bulge excitedly, and she made a beeline straight for him. Many of his classmates turned curiously to watch. Luna took a great deep breath and then said, without so much as a preliminary hello, I believe he who must not be named is back, and I believe you fought him and escaped him. What Harry is believing right now, or what Harry has done, is kind of becoming a conspiracy theory. And Luna believes it. The people close to him believe it. But I'm curious if you guys believe in any conspiracy theories.
Ooh, nice. What do you think?
Not just Harry Potter, obviously. Any just general conspiracy theories.
Yeah, but I'm not good.
COVID stuff. Too relevant. Okay.
How did you know?
I had one in my college soccer team. When I played college soccer, we had one kid who every year at the first away game, he would get up on the front of the bus with a microphone and he'd have a whole presentation on Sasquatch and how Sasquatch is real. And we'd make all the freshmen sit through it, but he was unbelievably convincing.
That's
He
great.
was like, he played the part very well. He acted like he really believed it. And we would ask him questions after, and he'd explain everything perfectly. And he'd have all this good explanation behind things, but then he would kind of just like joke around with it after. But it was so funny. Wayne, his name was Wayne. He was great.
Good old Wayne. I think Area 51 stuff, certainly. I don't think it's anything very specific. I think it's more just a general idea of how much the government knows that they don't share with the general public. And I don't really know, like, I'm not saying aliens, but I just think there's a lot out there that we don't know about. UFO sightings, all that. Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as aliens. I think there's just a lot of things going on that we don't fully understand.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm trying to think of JFK or any of these other things.
Yeah, that whole assassination site is really interesting. I think I mentioned this a while ago, maybe in the podcast, but that was like, when I was in Dallas, I love that little section to Dallas, and for some reason the assassination site of JFK was really cool to me, and all sorts of people would run out into the middle of the road and they take a picture of where the white X's are.
What does the X mean?
There where he was shot twice. So one is on one part of the road, and the other is like, I think 10, 20 feet down the road.
Oh my goodness, whoa.
So you'd have people running in the middle of the road, snapping pictures in the middle. It was still a busy road. People would be running, and they'd be dodging traffic and getting a picture there, and they'd have to run out. But it was fun. I would like sit and read there and watch people run in the middle of traffic and run out. But it was actually a really peaceful part. But there were so many conspiracy theories. There was like pop-up shops of people and their conspiracy theories, because there was the actual 6th floor museum there. And you'd go up and you learn the whole story of that. And then you'd leave that museum and people would be like, let me tell you the real story. And they tell you what their conspiracy theory story was. It was actually really fascinating. There's a real big conspiracy. I think it's the biggest one, of the woman who is just walking away against the grain of everyone else. Like everyone is running away and she is just walking like against the flow of normal people. And she's just like walking casually away. And there's like lots of conspiracy theories about that.
And then how long does it take? 50 years before they release some of the stuff, and then 70 years. Like there's like a government thing where they have to hold certain level of documents for a certain amount of time, and then they automatically have to release them. But I don't know what that is for UFOs, but that happened recently where the Air Force released a bunch of info. CIA released a few things recently. I'm curious when all of that stuff will become clear, because then I think the theory is, whether it's 50 or 70 years, like the people that it is about will be dead, and then they can release it without as much of an impact. But it is kind of funny to look back, because now we've gotten all of the World War II stuff, and you start looking at some of those documents and you're like, oh, there was stuff going on that we didn't really realize. And interesting. The government was pumping millions of dollars a year after World War II, sending out dozens of agents around the entire world to search for Hitler.
Yeah.
But the official story is that he killed himself and we have his body. Yeah. So why did we spend millions to look for him afterwards? So little things like that where I'm like, curious.
Lots of weird stuff and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's fun to believe in those things or like have theories about it, but other times it's a little...
My friend doesn't think we went to the moon.
Yeah. That would be a shame. No moonstones.
Yeah, right. I did actually, I think I had my moment of thinking that too. Like where I questioned it. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
Then the more I dug, the more I'm like, yeah, we definitely did. And then it became even more exciting.
Yeah, seriously.
But I wish I believed in conspiracy theories more. They're fun. Flat Earther.
You guys have any? Not willing to talk about?
I can't think of any. I won't really dive into that stuff.
Smart.
On another note, what do you think of Umbridge's detention with Harry?
It's totally chill as far as
Oh yeah, it's the best attention ever.
And then on a different note, if you were a teacher and you had to give a detention to a student, what would you make them do?
Yeah, Danny, what would you make them do?
I'd probably slice the back of their wrist. I don't know. Like, I think time and boredom is maybe better than writing lines. Like, I feel like sitting there and just being forced to do nothing is quite a torture. It's hard to beat that, right? Like you can't move, hands folded, sit straight, stare ahead at the board, no turning. Whatever, like classic. You can't beat that. Especially in today's age. I feel like we're just so stimulated all the time that to be forced to not do anything feels kind of crazy.
Yeah, time would go so slow.
Yeah. But I don't know. Do we have power as like today as teachers? What do teachers do? It's hard. You can't really do that much. But a detention. Are those even real anymore?
They probably even can't even do anything. They probably
Wait,
can't
have
do
you never had a
thing.
detention?
I think so.
Oh man, I forgot.
Because the kids rule the schools.
Wait,
Jen, have
Jen?
you ever had a
Detention?
No.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Come on, guys.
What?
This is how we balance each other out.
But see, that's also interesting too. Like you guys never needed detention because you were being
we were good
motivated,
kids.
like positive reinforcement and like the pressure of.
I never want to do
Doing well.
anything wrong.
I was afraid to
Right.
breathe wrong.
So I think that's true for a lot of people
I
to
never
varying
wanted
degrees.
to joke around.
Yeah.
Like
it's so
whatever
tough.
they said went. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
they say
follow
don't
you.
talk, you don't talk. They say
Well,
yeah.
to an extent.
It's so weird we were the same person.
I know.
So you guys had no issues with authority. Whatever authority did, that was it.
Well, it depends on the setting, I guess.
Yeah.
Within a school setting though.
Yeah, but I had coaches that I didn't like.
Yeah.
That does feel a little different.
But it is school.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So
You didn't
Yes.
did you still listen to them?
you don't really have a choice, I guess. But I remember one time I just left the game. I was,
Ooh.
well, because I was, it's a little story, but, well, fine, I'll go into it. It's like off
Yeah.
topic. It's not even that good, but I played volleyball and softball. And I played for the school, but then I played volleyball club. So it's like off season. So club volleyball interfered with softball season in school. So you're not supposed to tell them that you're in club
Yeah.
anything. So that way it doesn't interfere as long as you could do both.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in the club tournament, I dislocated my shoulder. So when I came back
Typical.
I know, when I came back for softball season, I was struggling to throw because it was my throwing arm. And so the coach would get on my case a lot because I played third base. And that you have to be able to reach first base. Like,
Yeah.
so, and then I played shortstop too. So I would flip flap. And so she, she was just really hard on me. And I was like, she's embarrassing me in front of my like teammates. And so one game, I must have just been messing up a bunch of times. Of course, I'm hardest on myself. So I was like getting annoyed. And she made a timeout, which you don't really do in like softball. She pulled all of us onto the sideline and she's like, can anyone play shortstop? I'll take anyone. And that was my position. And so she sat me on the bench and she had someone who's never played shortstop before go out in the game. And then I was like, okay, I'm leaving. So I left. I was like, Mom, let's go. I'm not staying.
Good. Well done. Don't take that
Nice.
crap from a
What a
terrible
Gryffindor.
coach.
I was like, I had plans anyway, so I'm not staying.
Well done.
But that was the one time that I was just like over it. But that was so embarrassing. Like, it's just a terrible
Yeah.
way of teaching and
Awful,
coaching.
Yeah.
Terrible coach.
Can anyone play? Can you imagine? Like, no one. Ugh, it was so
It's
embarrassing.
just a backhanded way of handling that.
Yeah, seriously.
Yep.
I had like a few moments like that with coaches and stuff. Growing up, I was a bit more like following what the coaches did. But as I got older in college, like I had a terrible coach. And I would get in fights with him all the time, like on the field. I remember there was one moment, all my family came to this game. This is the first time I met my sister-in-law. I was like at college and they started dating like the week I went to college and we had a game like 2 weeks later.
Oh.
So they were like, hey, just come to the game. So they came to the game. And I remember there was this one moment when my coach was mad at me for not making a play. And I was like I was like just a very solid player for the team.
That's defense, offense?
Defense, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So just good defender, very like, I was just a solid player on the team. And he just got mad at me for doing something. And I remember turning around like after I couldn't do it and just getting in like literally like a minute and a half long fight with him. I was on the field still playing, like running around, and I was like yelling at him while he was yelling at me.
That is
And my sister-in-law was watching, and we talked after, and she's like, "Yeah, you were right in this." And I was like, I went after the game and I was like, I apologize to the coach and everything like that, but we still had battles the rest of the whole thing.
Oh, man.
But
Sometimes
he's
I
the
wish I
coach.
fought
He
more.
should have just ignored you.
Yeah,
Right?
but he just didn't have.
No, I know. It's like crazy to me. I'm
know.
like, you're the adult
I know.
Right.
here,
You're
even
in a
if he
fight
was
with
a
a
couple
college
years
student.
older.
I know. I know.
So crazy.
Yeah.
I had a few moments like that though, and even there's even more moments when I wish I had like more of a backbone for teachers that would like call me out during things. And in the moments that I've taught, I don't have any. Like my thing is, there's a part of me that didn't really like what McGonagall said. I love McGonagall with everything in me. When she was like, especially when she's fighting Dolores, and she's like, I usually don't permit people to talk when I'm talking, Dolores. And I'm like, yes, get her.
I know,
Right there,
that's
McGonagall.
so
That felt
good.
so good. But at the same moment, I'm like, I don't love that as a rule for teachers. I don't like the idea
Right.
that you automatically have authority and you should automatically be given respect. As a teacher, I think you should earn your students' respect. Just because you have a position, I don't necessarily think that garners any respect. So like there's been moments in my teaching career where like I've tried to earn students' respects, and if they didn't, I would have a conversation with them and they could interrupt me in class, and if they had something else, all discussion, stuff like that. But I remember there was one teacher too that called me out in the middle of class because I was reading an article. I still remember this so clearly. I was reading an article because one of my friends, his brother went to a D1 school and was playing football, and he just got like nationally ranked. It was like the high school players at the time, and he was about to go to like a really big D1 school, and he got like nationally ranked in the top 100 players in the nation for his class. Whoa. So I remember like I was on ESPN on my laptop in the back of class, and I like nudged my friend, and I was like, dude, look, your brother is right there. My friend was like, what? This is crazy. So we're like looking at each other like crazy. The teacher calls me out. I'm in the back of class. And I mean, like, yeah, maybe he should call me out, but he completely embarrassed me. He was like, what are you looking at? And he's like, I'm not starting class until you show me what you're looking at. And he goes, I just didn't like say anything. But right now, I'm like, I wish I could go back to that moment and be like, hey, his brother is a top few players in the nation. I was like trying to show him, this is cool. This is something to celebrate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your class is boring, so that's why I'm on ESPN. I didn't say that, but I wish I said that.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't have given you detention.
Yeah, I
Right,
probably 100%
right.
would have gotten detention. But
That
I
would have
don't
been
care.
Harry.
But it was
That
worth
teacher
it.
was terrible. It was so bad.
yes.
But anyway,
Yikes. Yeah, they're just. With that McGonagall thing, though, I thought she was just saying that to her, to Umbridge.
yeah, she might have been. Yeah,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like she does, like, she allows him to talk after. Like, I'll share what I need to teach you, and then you guys can, like, share, like, talk after I just get my point across, and then you can talk. And I think she was just being really harsh.
yeah.
I think that
so.
makes sense. And
Yeah.
and they're still like relatively young. So I'm hoping by 7th year she would loosen up a little bit. Like it's like first years, I don't want any
Yeah.
talking. I'm here to teach you, whatever. But then like slowly more and more engagement.
Her class would
you're
probably
right.
be so fun. I would love to learn how to
Yeah.
transform
And they're like
things.
cool lessons too. Like she's bringing in the snails and bringing in
Yeah,
the
the
mice.
slugs. I'm just like, now
she's
mice are
not
gonna
she's
be
not just
even
teaching them
harder.
theory. She's also letting them practice. These are
Yeah.
labs every
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
You know, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Which probably upset Umbridge.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Not
true.
allowed to use magic.
I like that there was a twinkle in McGonagall's eye as she left to like
Yeah.
with Harry, that kind of like brief moment where he's like, and I think I saw a smile.
Yeah. Harry's like, she's a hypocrite, but I kind of
Yes,
like it.
exactly. Where I'm like, oh man, the whole thing is funny.
Yeah.
Are Fred and George bullies?
Would you say that because they're testing stuff on people?
Yeah,
The
I
little
kinda think
kids,
so.
the first
They're
years.
paying them though.
Who cares? They don't know what they're getting
Yeah,
themselves
these kids,
into.
they're below the age of consent here. They can't say yes, they're down to be
And
experimented
then what's
on.
her name got like a
Oh
nose
gosh, I know.
bleed.
Danny,
Wait,
for-
time out. Yeah. All the stuff that Danny did for money when he was a kid, you're telling me that you wouldn't sign up to be Fred and
I
George's
might-
test dummy?
I would have definitely been their dummies,
Who is
or I would have
Danny?
been Fred and George. But that doesn't make it right. And I think I'm picturing like a classic group of students. Like Fred and George were showing them things. Like at the beginning, they're like becoming the leaders. Like, oh yeah, here's where this is, or here's where the classroom is. And then all of a sudden they're giving them these things that make their noses bleed.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the student passed out. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, the Quidditch
So I'm
player,
picturing
Katie Bell.
it's a group of kids, and you're gonna get some kids like me, like you, but then you're gonna have other kids like Jenn or Kristen, and I'm picturing like us when we're in literally like kindergarten. Well, it wouldn't be kindergarten when you're
Yeah,
11, you're
sixth
in
grade.
whatever, 5th grade, 6th grade. But then I'm like, oh man, I can imagine some tiny little 5th grader, no clue what's going on, and an upperclassman is telling them like, come here, do this thing. And all of a sudden they're knocked out on the floor. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like picturing it in a modern context
terrible.
sounded pretty bad. But again, in the wizarding world, being unconscious or having a bloody nose doesn't seem like a big deal. It just doesn't really matter that much. But I was a little bit annoyed at them. I was taking
Yeah.
Hermione's side with every like Fred and George interaction. Where I'm
when
like,
you're losing enough blood that you're getting knocked out and you
Yep.
might pass out, that's probably.
But they
I'm like,
gave
this
the
is
wrong
actually
thing,
over
right?
the line.
That's what it was.
Yeah, they gave her the wrong thing, so they were trying to help her out. But
yeah, but that's perfect because it's like medicine. They're like
Yeah.
they're doing it. They're becoming the pharmaceutical
I haven't
guys.
seen it work yet, though.
But that's why they need to experiment. So I get it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, on people and
but
kids.
that's why it's not cool. And they're like, it's fine. We tested it on us. And I'm like, the reason you have to experiment is because it's going to react differently to everybody.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, I was like, that's not good.
Yikes.
yeah, that's funny.
So yes, they're bullies.
But we still love them. They're bullies, but they're like good bullies.
Yeah. I feel like they are.
Okay.
They have good intentions. But even good people can do bad things.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you guys were rejoicing when they bullied good old Dudley.
Yeah, that was. It was more just.
because it was justice.
We're like, ha,
Yeah.
yes.
But
and
they're-
now,
Yeah.
ooh.
A bully
We'll
would
see,
just
we'll see.
shove these treats down the kids' throats, not pay them anything.
You're right.
They're paying them a little bit, so it's all right. Okay, so put yourself in Harry's shoes. We get this. Oh, let me just read this line. At least it's only lines, said Hermione consolingly, as Harry sunk back onto his bench and looked down at a steak and kitty pie, which he no longer fancied very much. It's not as if it's just dreadful punishment, really. Harry opened his mouth, closed it again, and nodded. He was not sure why he was not telling Ron and Hermione exactly what was happening in Umbridge's room. He only knew that he didn't want to see their look of horror. That would make the whole thing seem worse and therefore more difficult to face. He also felt dimly that this was between himself and Umbridge, a private battle of wills, and he was not going to give her the satisfaction of hearing that he had complained about it. Do you think that Harry is smart to... Maybe not smart. Would you do what Harry did? Would you not tell anybody if you were encountering this?
No,
You would tell?
I would tell.
Yeah.
I tell everyone everything.
Mm.
No, I don't.
Because, I mean, you were saying before, the second he tells someone it's over, Umbridge should immediately be
Yeah,
fired and stop doing what they're doing. He would be,
and I never want to take something on solo like that. That's
Yeah.
like intense.
yeah.
And you're a kid.
I feel like
I would
Harry's being
tattletale all the time.
manipulated.
Yeah.
Dumbledore, guess what?
It feels weird. Harry thinks it's a battle of wills. And in some ways it is, but I also felt like Umbridge has presented it that way. So Harry feels like he's got to be all noble and not lose this battle of wills. But again, because I have this little side theory that the blood is not just ending up on the paper, but they've got vials of Harry's blood now, which is a powerful thing apparently. So I'm thinking that
Wait,
he's
now
being,
blood is a powerful thing, Danny? Before you said that blood
didn't
was...
matter. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
didn't matter.
blood doesn't
exactly.
matter as far as pain and
Harry's
injury.
blood.
As
But
long
no,
as he's being tortured, that's okay.
yeah, the torture is cool. But if they're stealing his blood, I mean, come on.
I mean, what about the connection that Harry's blood brought Voldemort back? So maybe she's digging into his hands because there's some blood there that she wants to bring.
Right. So the
Someone
idea
else
that
back.
his blood is being collected, maybe it's just being used for writing. That's okay. But if it's also being collected in little vials or something else weird that's going on, or in that pen is going to now be able to like hold his blood, we just don't know what's going on. So it's a little weird. But either way, it felt like he was being manipulated into doing this detention, and he thinks he's winning this battle of wills. But I'm like, I feel like Umbridge knew this is exactly how it was going to play out, and this is why she did it. And then at the end, he gets another detention. He didn't learn his lesson at all, and he gets another detention. In my mind, the best way to win this battle of wills is to play her game of nicey nice. And when she says, don't lie, especially privately, like when he's just in detention one-on-one, then, you know, yuck it up with her. And, oh, I'm so sorry. And, you know, go through exactly what she wants to see. And then back in class, be nice, be polite, do what you got to do, and start a secret rebellion. You know, like not so upfront. He's not going to win the battle head to head with her. She has too much actual authority over him. So then in class, she can just be like, you're kicked out of class, or you have a detention, or go see McGonagall, like other things like that. And he has to listen every time. So in my mind, the only way he could actually win this battle of wills is to play her game.
So yeah, that's an interesting one. I kind of disagree a little bit, but would you guys do the same? Like if you're in detention with Dolores right now, would you, as soon as you see it in the back of your hand, be like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I will never do this again, stop? Or would you be stubborn like Harry and be like, no, you know what?
Depends how old I am.
Yeah.
Well, true.
doing
And also, I'd probably pass out. So I'd be like, I gotta get out of here.
You write it once and then you're.
Yeah, like the first little, I'm like,
You see blood.
That would be a great way to get out of it.
Yeah.
oh yeah, sure.
She'd keep giving you
Yeah.
Fred and George's Rio Renner. She would renovate you constantly, and you'd have to.
That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
And even telling on her, that's not losing the battle. That's using the tools you have.
But
Telling
then
her,
what
get her to
Harry
stop and deal
says
with
is
it.
interesting. Like
What?
they won't, like the ministry is against Dumbledore. So if they complain about Umbridge, are
Yeah.
they even going to be able to do anything?
Yep.
Like they can't kick her out. They have to keep her there, and maybe it would get worse. So like I kind of see where he was coming from.
Yeah, I get that too. But again, that's all in his head. He's coming up with that narrative.
That's my narrative too.
Well, yeah, and I understand that, but I almost want him to find that out first, because then they'll know what they're up against.
So
True.
so I'm gonna split. I'm gonna be a little hypocritical here because I think there are times when you need to stand, and there are times when you need to just acquiesce and be like a spy. What you're talking about with the spy thing, with like Harry just like playing her game and then being a spy, I am actually mad that the two people left the Wizengamot over this.
Yeah, I
and
thought
they
that
got
too.
up. I'm like, what you should be able to do is just be a spy. The Wizengamot needs people like you, so you need to just suck it up that they're taking a little bit of they're going into Hogwarts a little bit too far. Suck it up and still fight, because right now that two of you guys went off and they replaced two robots.
Yep.
that
They
just
gained more power.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a little bit more power and authority to do whatever they want at Hogwarts. I'm like, you two have a job to stop, to like be spies in this organization. For Harry, I think it's different because he's such a point person, and because he's fighting for like what the actual truth is. I think if he plays Dolores Umbridge's game, I think he is losing credit for what actually happened. I think it's actually a disrespect on Cedric's memory as well that he's playing with. Again, I think the whole idea of his survivor's guilt is playing into this huge. It's just the air, so we're good. That scared me a little bit. Got ghosts coming in this room.
Professor Binns.
Yeah. I think that it would be an insult to Cedric's memory for him
that's
to
true.
give this up. And I think he's still dealing with a survivor's guilt a little bit. And I think he's doing this almost to rectify the whole situation. So I think he almost has an obligation and a duty to not give in. I like that Harry's not doing this. Like Harry's personality here drives me crazy because he's so moody with everything else. With
I loved it.
everyone. But yeah, I love this
Every
moment.
time he acts up, I'm like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, same.
Say it.
Same. Like, I don't like that he does it with Ron and Hermione, but I'm like, yes, I'm exactly
Yes.
with you. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
tell her to shut up. Tell her that she's wrong. Tell her that
I
Voldemort's
know.
back. Stand up
so
for that, Harry.
bad, but I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, do it.
Jen, I got a little rebellious.
Who cares if you go back to detention or draw on your face with this? Yeah. Oh,
It just stinks that he even has to go. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking, like, then when Ron was doing his Quidditch tryouts, like, then what would happen if Harry just didn't go to detention? Like, where is it, like, the end of the line for punishments? Like,
and what would happen though? Is she
right,
gonna
would he
come
get
out
kicked
to
out of
the-
school or whatever?
Right.
He
Quidditch
said something else
match?
came up. Like, I just don't know. And that's what I'm really wondering about. Like, how much power does she actually have? Can she kick Harry out? If Harry told on her, would it actually have stopped? Or would that just be some kind of weird escalation and then they go to her and then she goes to the ministry and then Harry's stuck in detention for twice as long under the same kind of pain or worse? Like, I just don't know. I don't know how much power she really has. And I go
Would
back
it-
and forth
But
about it.
I also don't. Well, maybe it does matter because it's like a degree. But I'm like, does it matter if you get kicked out of Hogwarts? Like, if you're good at magic instinctively, like natural talent, like Harry.
Yeah.
I feel like
But if they snap your wand,
after a little bit, you just know how to research and you know how to do things. So you just, you know, you're good. And I don't.
Oh, that was what I was.
Yeah. What?
This is so far back in our conversation. I was like, remember you asked what I would like them to go into?
Yeah.
Is like the different types of careers after.
Yeah.
yeah, so true.
Like we don't know anything
Yeah,
what you could
seriously.
be.
So
that
limited.
was.
You
And
know,
that's
like,
exactly
or
what I'm
Ministry
saying.
of Magic,
And
you
like,
work with
do you need
dragons
a
or
degree
Gringotts.
or could you just be grandfathered into it and not have
yeah, no,
a
you're
degree?
right.
Anyway, that was my.
That's a good one.
What are the
So-
wizard trades?
So for me,
You know?
I'm like, if Harry gets kicked out, the Order of the Phoenix is going on. He could be with Sirius Black. They could practice spells to get. Like, I don't see what's so bad.
They're both
about
loaded.
getting
He's
kicked
fine.
out.
Yeah.
What's he getting a job for? For money? He needs it. You know what I mean? He's set.
Then he can spend all his time trying to figure out how to get Voldemort.
Yeah.
Might be a great time.
There's,
Start a little
I mean, I
rebellion.
feel like there's
Anyways.
definitely a time when you stay in school because you don't quite know enough yet.
right.
And I at the moment, Hermione could leave school. I don't think the other two could leave school yet.
Agreed.
Because they're just stupid. They don't know how to research yet. They don't,
was
they
gonna
don't
say,
want to
you
practice.
said to research. I was like, well,
Yeah.
you would need Hermione for that.
Yeah,
'cause he's
exactly.
not
So Hermione
doing
would
that.
save them, save their lives constantly. She could leave
I
school
would
right
hope
now.
with
and be fine.
maturity, though. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
they're like guys, so they're
Yeah.
how many years behind?
We're a little slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Numerous. We're numerous years behind.
Like, could they just
Infinite.
go to Diagon Alley, get some books, read them? Like, is that normal? Or if you're
If
kicked out of
they
school,
read.
like, then what? You know, like,
Well, they don't. I think we talked about this before, but they don't snap your wand if you get kicked out of the school. I think they do it if you have done something egregious, like
oh, the underage
Hagrid-
magic thing was the.
Yeah.
was accused of something, right?
That
But
was, that was
kicked out
that
of school
was
for a different reason is
yeah.
totally different.
Underage
Oh,
magic
yes, okay.
is that was the reason his wand was going to get snapped. I think because of that.
That makes sense.
But like Hagrid got his wand snapped because they thought he killed someone. Oh. Because he unleashed the beast, and they were like, "Oh, this deserves your wand to get snapped."
Right.
But if anybody else is kicked out of the school, I don't think they're gonna snap
Okay,
your
that
wand.
may-
So you
that
still
makes
have
much
the
more
ability.
sense.
Yeah, I'm sure people can leave the school and not have their
What
wand
if
snapped.
you can't afford it anymore?
I know it's true.
Well, I don't even
yeah.
know. Do they pay for it?
Yeah,
We still don't know.
yeah.
The Weasleys must get a discount.
No,
multi-kid
that's not how
discount?
it works. When
Yeah.
Or the
multiple
ministry
siblings
discount?
to the same college. Let me tell you.
Okay, but here's a last question in this chapter.
Oh, shoot.
I know we're going slow,
Wow.
but this is great. We're only
boy.
through this chapter. I know. This is great though. I love this. It says she moved toward him, stretching out her short ring finger on his arm, and then as she took hold of him to examine the words cut into his skin, pain seared, not across the back of his hand, but across his forehead. At the same time, he had a most peculiar sensation somewhere around his midriff. Why did his scar hurt here?
I think she has, I don't know. I think she has some connection maybe to Voldemort. It seems very obvious because she said it so plain and clear.
Yeah.
And then I was trying to think, could it just be a coincidence that Voldemort is doing something at the exact same time that she's touching him? I feel like that's weird.
Could be coincidence. What did it say about his
And then
stomach? He was feeling something.
At the same
That
time,
was-
he had a most peculiar sensation somewhere around his
That was
midriff.
a
I said, what does
strange
this mean?
lie.
Yeah, that
I
is
did not
so
know. I actually threw
weird.
it in the subreddit, and everyone latched on to the other thing of like why did his scar hurt. And I was more curious, what the heck is he having a sensation around his midriff?
Yeah, I'm like, what?
It's like,
I don't like the wording of that, but I was like, maybe it's just like your stomach has butterflies or it's
knots.
sinking.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Yeah.
like, this is a familiar, uncomfortable situation. I hope that's what.
Someone
hope so,
disapparated his kidney, stole an organ.
what?
Literally, that's what crossed my mind. I'm like, can you steal a wizard organ without ever doing surgery? Magical surgery.
Oh my
Boom.
God. And then
got
sell
it.
it on the black market or for yourself.
I don't know, either one. But in wizard surgery, I feel like you could do that with magic instead of incisions.
That's come from.
Because
Do
they're
one of those, like Indiana Jones thing, just reach.
yeah, right. Reach in,
Yeah.
grab a heart. You can just do that with the spell instead. Pull it out. You do all the work. Like, pretty nice.
Gross.
All right, let's keep thinking about that, but let's move on to chapter 14. Percy and Padfoot. What? Unless Danny's going to say, hold on.
Oh, there are so many things, but you know what?
But we went over
All
a lot
good.
of it.
I know. Well, and
We
if
have
you have anything
two-
else that pops
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
we'll talk about it. But Percy and Padfoot, give me a summary of this chapter. Are
Go
you guys
for it,
warm
Kristen.
too, by the way?
You want it?
Are you guys warm?
Yeah.
I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit, so I'll be right back. Give a summary before, as I leave.
You don't have one, Danny?
Oh, no, I do, but I'm just reading through this
okay.
chapter to see.
Harry writes to Sirius, and he runs into Cho at the Owlery. They have their first Quidditch practice where Ron doesn't play too hot. Percy writes the world's worst letter to Ron, and Sirius visits Harry in the common room's fire.
That was a great summary.
Nailed it. Yeah, that was everything I had.
This
and more.
guy, not even in the room.
I heard
Gee,
everything.
Thanks.
My first question in this chapter was, how do Hogwarts students do their laundry?
Do you
The
have
elves
to
do it.
Yeah.
laundry
is
machines? Yeah, I was going to say the spells, right?
Yeah, you can use the spells, but does Harry really know the spells? How smelly are these six? or
They're
these
probably
four
bringing
students?
everything over to Hermione and be like, here, can you do this spell?
There's definitely, if they're doing it spells, the middle school girls, like the third year girls, they're smelling these first years and they're just like secretively doing these spells to make
Whoa,
them
can you imagine in the hallway? You're just like, you smell someone gross and you're just like, boom,
Yeah.
make the smell go away, like deodorant, boom. That'd be really
Deodorize, that's the
nice.
spell.
That would be amazing.
I like that. And yeah, you're like dirty clothes, whatever. Because what you were saying, how wizards used to just like use the bathroom wherever and then clean
They'd
up
use
their
a vanishing
stuff.
spell.
It's kind
They
of
just go in their
nuts.
pants and use a vanishing spell.
Because you could just do the same thing with
I
all
remember
dirt
you
and
saying that.
stuff. And
Because if they leave their laundry around too, maybe it's like a designated spot that the house elf can
Right.
pick it up.
They just grab
But if
it.
they just leave it there, house elf grabs it and they're free. But maybe it's not their master. Maybe Dumbledore has to do that.
yeah, I was wondering that because they kept talking about that. And I was
Yeah.
like, huh. But then they might not even have to remove it because the house elves are really good with the spells. So even if they don't know the ones, like the students don't, the house elves can just be like, clean, fold.
Yeah,
and
that's
it just
true.
instantly pops into
true.
the drawer
That's
again
nice.
or something.
I want that.
That would
And then
be
they don't have
great.
to receive it. Because the whole
never
thing
have
with
to fold
Hermione
laundry
leaving
again.
those things
Oh my
around.
gosh.
Ooh,
That'd be so nice.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Well, the whole thing about Hermione leaving the hats around, it felt like kind of dumb. I'm like, she's putting a ton of effort into this, and she still hasn't even talked to Dumbledore about it. I don't know why.
And she doesn't even talk to the whatever about it either.
And she doesn't know where they're going.
elves?
She's not
Yeah.
talking. Dobby at least should be able to give a good insight on this. But like,
Yeah.
she's leaving all these things around. She has no idea where they're ending
I
up.
was
She has
with
no
Ron
idea if
with
this does
that. I was
anything.
like, Ron's like, you're making it like a secret booby trap. Do they even want
Yes,
it?
Yeah.
I know. And then I'm like, Hermione, you're kind of missing the whole thing here. Like, I like where her heart is at in this, but it just feels weird. I'm like, don't act until you have like a real plan. It feels like she's kind of just making it up as she goes. I guess it's better than not
Yeah.
doing anything, but it could be so powerful if done the right way. And she's got to like talk to the right people first. Every time she brings it up to anybody, they're like, no. She brings it up to Sirius, and Sirius we kind of respect and trust. And Sirius is like, no, that's kind of dumb. The Weasleys, same thing. So talk to Dumbledore. That's what I want her to do. Then I can feel good about it. I can get on board with Spew.
Someone said Phil's just the one who does the laundry. Just imagine him sorting through all the bras and underwear. How creepy would that
So creepy.
be? Anyway, on another note, how many house elves do you think Hermione has freed?
None.
Yeah, I think none, but it could be like 20 by now.
Yeah.
And is this a magical freedom?
Are we going to start to see their laundry piling up?
Yeah, all of a sudden they're like, things aren't getting done around here. But like, would a house elf, is this freedom like when Dobby received this sock at the beginning or at the end of the book, was he just like something changed inside of him and he's like, oh my goodness, I'm free. Like he felt the magical bonds were broken. Or is it like,
it's like
they have to
Genie
like
from
hold on to that
Aladdin.
and be like, okay, cool. Now, this is my evidence. So are the house elves picking up these hats, wearing them, not even thinking about it, not even knowing?
When we have heard
And if
them
they find a
saying
hat,
they're
how do they know
wearing
it's
them?
theirs? It's not a gift to them. It's just a
Yeah.
hat. It could be a student's. There's a pile of hats in the basement right now.
But they're doing laundry. They're constantly picking up clothes.
And that's going back to like how they're freed to begin with. Like if they just catch a falling piece of clothing, is that the same as being given? In Dobby's case, kind of. You're handed a journal with a sock inside of it, like or around it or whatever it was.
And that was Harry's sock, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't
So
even
it
didn't even
doesn't need to
belong
be-
to.
yeah.
That's so weird.
It is.
So like a piece of clothing left
Or
around,
maybe-
if they accidentally pick it up, that still frees them. I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Seems weird.
Or they could all be free and they just like working there.
They've been free
Right,
this whole
right.
time. Yeah, maybe they're all getting paid something. Also, at some point, the stands of the Quidditch match had 800 people, and that's how we were gauging how many people were at
Yeah.
Hogwarts. But according to any math that I can do, there are only like 200 students.
Yeah.
So where's the rest of these people? I think that all 150 house elves are huge Quidditch fans. So they do magic to turn into human-looking critters so they can go out and watch.
Gosh.
Oh my. How long does it take you to read each chapter again?
Literally, like,
Well, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, where are all these people? Even if you had 100 teachers and we only see 30 of them and the rest are all in the basements studying things and practicing and whatever, like actually progressing magic in the whole world, like,
Maybe
learning things.
like people
Then where is everyone else?
like wizard residents that like are into Quidditch and they don't get to watch games
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
to watch.
Hogsmeade.
Yeah.
People from Hogsmeade are coming. Yeah.
The Hogsmeade's crew. Yeah, for sure. And I think some parents were at that game, but I don't have a solid idea of how many people are at Hogwarts, but it seems like in my mind, it was more like 800, but realistically it's more like 200, 300, 400.
Because of the sorting hat, you counted all of those people?
No,
that
but like
went
when
to
John
each
said
house?
a few episodes ago, he said there were 5 Gryffindor boys
Yeah.
from this year. And I'm like, I never really thought about it. In my head, this was just one of the rooms and there were a bunch of others we just never met.
Yeah.
But if that's true, even if this was a small class and most of the time you'd have 7, 8, 9, 10, like even if it is
70?
still not a lot.
Yeah. Even
Because
still,
that's per
that's
class.
like 400.
And then per
whole school.
Right. Yeah. Because that would be like per gender, per house, per class.
So there, in Harry's class, if there's 5 per house, per gender, there's 40 in their class. So 40 times 7, I can't do math.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
40 times 7, 280.
280.
There you go. There's 280 students. But I think I'm sure Harry's maybe is a smaller year.
Right,
or
it's
something
probably
like
a
that.
smaller
Maybe
year.
there's like 15 in Ravenclaw for boys or something like that. Or I don't know what it is. But
Right.
Hufflepuffs are more loyal, so they have more students. I don't know.
And then I wonder how Voldemort's reign played into all that. If he's out killing all the wizards who were going to send their kids to Hogwarts, Harry escaped. But how many other people from these years didn't escape,
Yeah.
So that could be a factor too, which is kind of
Yeah.
dark. But
All right, we get another line. Harry's insides reinflated so rapidly that he felt as though he might actually float a few inches off the dropping strewn floor. Who cared about a stupid flying horse? Cho thought he had been really brave. For a moment, he considered accidentally on purpose showing her his hand as his cut hand as he helped her tie the parcel onto his owl. But the very instant this thrilling thought occurred, the owlry door opened again. This might be a tough question, but what is the most that you've ever tried to show off to someone that you had a crush on? If you can remember that.
I'm sure it went so badly.
Yeah.
Let me try and remember.
Yeah.
I can imagine like Harry doing this thing right now where he has his cut on his hand and he wants to be so brave. So he's like, oh, let me help you tie this, Cho. Putting it right in front of her.
Whoops.
Yeah. There's always the typical thing where you're sometimes a little bit more loud and obnoxious around someone you have a crush on.
Oh, yeah.
Like in high school, especially guys, I remember there was a girl that I had a crush on.
Yeah.
We were at Josh's house and we were all playing like, what's the game that you play at a pool table where you throw it and you run around?
Oh, like Splash maybe?
Splash, yeah, you're playing Splash. And I was being so loud. And I remember she texted me after or sent me like a Facebook or AIM message her way back then. Being like, that was so funny. You're so fun. And I was like, my insides were like super inflated. It was the best. But she wasn't into me. She was just playing with me.
Yeah, my brother used to make fun of me. He would call it Danny 2.0. He'd say, just quit it. You're being so obnoxious. I'm like, I can't help it. But I'm trying to think of when that happened or what I might have done. What silly thing I did. Nothing comes to mind.
What did girls do? What did you guys do?
I feel like I try to ignore them.
Yeah,
That works really well.
it does. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to talk to these people right in front of you, but I'm not going to make eye contact with you. And then maybe I'll like chime in.
Yeah, sometimes that's worked.
Yeah.
Sometimes it hasn't. Tried a lot of different things.
I think with guys, the funny part that we think works but probably doesn't is like in sports in particular. Like what you're saying with Splash, or like if it's a big group of people and the guys get really into something, all of a sudden it matters so much. Tempers are flaring. Everyone wants to win because they think somehow like the competition of it will be like look so good, and then the girls like don't even notice or don't care or it makes you look so dumb.
No, because those games go on for hours, and we're like,
Yeah, you're like, I don't
first
care.
5
What that
minutes
is.
were
What's
interesting.
Splash.
Splash? We'll explain later.
Oh.
It's like a multiple person game where you just like throw a ball and you have to run around the table and try to hit it with another ball. Pretty fun actually. But
Yeah,
I've
it is.
never heard of it. Have you heard of it?
No.
Oh, okay.
we'll explain it later. We'll play later.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I don't think we're
I
as.
can't think of anything specific.
Maybe some. I mean, there are the stereotypical girls where they like, go up, they drop something or pick it up near you. The Legally Blonde.
Oh my gosh, that's what I
Bend
was
and
thinking.
snap.
What? I've never
It works every time.
I think I remember that scene.
I don't know if I've actually tried that. No.
The sports for guys is the big one. You want to try to be like really impressive in sports.
But I
it
do
really
the
doesn't
same
do anything.
thing.
Really?
Oh, actually, that just made me remember. Like if I was at dance and there were a couple of the girls' brothers that would come in like throughout the years.
Yep.
There was one I thought was cute, and I was like, oh yes. Like
Yeah.
we're doing that. I think I was in high school. It was like a good jazz number that we were doing, and the teacher would sometimes open the door, and I was like, yes, he's right there, and I would like pour my all into
I
it.
do my little
Never
shimmy
spoke to
a little closer.
Never spoke to him, but I was like, he's watching me.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
He probably wasn't. In my mind, he was.
It is crazy. You just have that main character energy whenever something like that happens, where you're
true.
like, oh my gosh. If like your crush is at anytime like I had a crush and she was watching like a soccer game or something,
Yeah.
I am the main character in the soccer game. Every time I touch the ball, all eyes are on me.
They're looking.
Yeah. So let me touch it every 10 seconds.
I know.
right.
Less, yeah.
I remember I was working with Parker down at the beach, and we worked at this dock and we did jet ski rentals, and we had to go out and supervise the people because there was only a big area they could use. They couldn't leave the area. So we would go out and make sure nothing went wrong, whatever. And so we got pretty good on the jet skis and we thought we were pretty cool. And then there was this group of girls that were out there and I was supervising the group. So of course I'm like showing them the course and being all like trying to be cool. And we used to do like tricks on the jet ski, and I remember coming to this one turn and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show one of these tricks. You would like put both of your feet on one side of the jet ski so you're hanging off with your feet off the side, and then you would turn and it would like kind of drift to the side, but I wanted to make it look really good, so I was high speed. But then when I started drifting, it caught and just launched me. I went flying.
And it's probably a cool trick.
Yeah, super cool. I'm like, yeah. But I just went tumbling, and I don't know how like far I flew and how many tumbles.
In slow motion, he's winking at them as he goes by.
Hey. And then I like end up in the water. I come up, my sunglasses sunk, they were gone.
No.
And then thankfully the jet ski shut off because it was connected to me. But then I still had to like swim back. I'm like, ugh. So by the time I get back on it, I get up and I'm all like panting. I'm like, and they're like, are you okay?
That could have worked too.
Totally cool. And just kept going, feeling like a failure.
Oh
but it
my
was funny.
gosh. I love
Trying to
those
show
moments.
off
They
and
could
it
have
just
come
totally
assisted
failed.
you. Do you need CPR?
Yeah. Do you need help?
I can't breathe.
What was that from? What movie?
Oh yeah, the pool.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
she-
Sandlot, he tried
That's
it.
right, the Sandlot.
Yeah.
It was the Sandlot. Yeah. That's so good.
Mhm.
Oh, we can
He
talk about
starts
this for a
like
while.
making out with her when she's doing CPR. It's so good.
That's a good move.
Okay, on Harry Potter again. What is the deal with Sturgis Podmore? You guys remember him?
No.
He was the
Yeah,
guy that wasn't. He was supposed to be in the advance guard guiding Harry. He wasn't there.
That's right.
He was supposed to be in escorting them to King's Cross. Wasn't
Oh, he
there.
ended up in Azkaban.
And then he was in Azkaban because he was trying to
On the
get into a door that was locked in the Ministry of
is
Magic.
weird.
But it seems like Moody, at least Moody, didn't know he had a mission. He didn't know well, I was assuming it was a mission on purpose, whatever. But Moody didn't know about it.
Because they were
So-
waiting for him still.
Yeah, in the morning they were waiting for him still, but this was that night before. He went to the
Yeah, but
ministry
could it-
and was trying to break in
I feel
somewhere.
like it's like you're on mission and then something clicks and you're like, I need to figure this out now. Where
Right, in the
like no
moment.
one, right. So like no one actually knows where you are and what you're doing.
What was his
And then
original
it's an
mission?
overflow. I don't know.
And does he work at the ministry, or is he no connection to the ministry and he was there for this reason only?
John.
Because that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, I just don't know. Or is Moody just playing a part? Where is he? Oh my goodness, I don't know. Maybe we better wait for him. But really, Moody knew that he was on a mission. But he has to.
A
Like,
part
play
of
the
me
part.
thinks it's something like, remember when Lucius Malfoy and Fudge were like together?
And they were talking.
Yeah, I wonder, like, a part of me is like, oh, they must have his office or some secret thing that they were like talking about, some mission, Lucius and Fudge.
Yeah.
And like he was trying to figure out what that is.
It could be. I actually, when I was first reading it, I thought he got thrown in Azkaban on purpose. And
Like,
that,
what does that mean?
like he needed to get to Azkaban for some reason, either to do something with the Dementors again, because that's the loose end. Dumbledore said giants, Dementors. So maybe Snape
Only
went,
Dementors are in Azkaban, though.
it does
like,
seem
is that
like
the
that's their
only-
spot. Yeah, like that's the first place they were
But
discovered.
they're
That's why
like
they
in
did
nature
Azkaban there.
too.
We don't really understand the whole thing,
And like, how many are there?
but maybe there's someone else who's
Hundreds.
in Azkaban they need to
Thousands?
do some research on. Thousands?
I'm asking. I'm just throwing out numbers.
I don't know.
The mathematician
I'm thinking
over here.
hundreds. But we have no idea. We have no scale for Azkaban. But of course, we know it's a little island. Little, I don't know, making that up. But it's an island. And
be the
because
size
of the
of
name,
I
Madagascar.
just think of
Yeah,
what
but
is
because of the name
prison
Alcatraz.
Yeah,
That's what
thank
I'm
you.
kind of
That's what
equating
I
it to.
pictured
So
too.
I'm just assuming it's roughly the size of Alcatraz. And if that's the case, it's pretty small.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I thought there's a chance he's going there on purpose. Maybe to check on certain people in Azkaban to see if that they're still there. But it would be weird for him to do that because I would think with what's his name? Kingsley? And Mr. Weasley and other people who are in the ministry that are on the side of good, you'd think they could just go and like look into that
Yeah.
in their system somewhere. But maybe he was trying to break in Sturgis. Do we trust Sturgis? We don't know anything about him. By default, I trust him because he's in the order. But I don't know. Maybe he was trying to break into wherever the secret weapon is being hidden that Voldemort wants to try and steal it
that
before he
Fudge
could.
knows about.
Yeah.
Or
Was he
do
stealing it
some
for
research.
Voldemort? Or was he stealing it for Fudge?
I was thinking he was trying to steal it for the side of good, for the order. Could be anything though.
We'll see. Who do you think's going to win the Quidditch Cup this year? Out of the four houses.
Are they even going to have one?
Well, Slytherin seems pretty
Wait,
confident.
what do you mean? Are they going to have one?
I feel like the Ministry of Magic is going to like shut down anything fun. You can't do magic anywhere. No broom flying, no nothing.
Oh my word. They do seem to be going that direction.
So that's what I think.
But Slytherin is so confident. They're not even trying to practice. They're just making fun of other people practicing.
Well, poor Ron too. I felt so bad for him
Yeah.
because I was like, he probably is good, but you get so nervous.
Oh,
You get in your
yeah.
head, and you mess up
Yeah.
everything, and once you mess up once, it's done.
And he didn't
Game
even think he was going to
over.
get support from his own brothers or from Harry. He thought everyone was going to make fun of him. Like, man, poor kid. He really he does not feel supported by the people around him. Feel bad for him. But he's feeling a little more support now. But Angelina should probably be a little more encouraging. She's ruling with an iron fist.
Yeah.
She's
like-
a bit more intense than Oliver.
But
really
also
was.
because she's a woman, sorry, she has to be tougher on the guys.
Yep. She's got to
That's a
compensate a
fact.
little bit more.
I
Yeah.
guess. She might be overcompensating at the moment. But
But you would feel, I think I would feel that way. Like I have to be.
yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, that makes sense. I just feel bad. It's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah. I think that she's a good captain, actually. Because if your star seeker is not at tryouts and practice, that'd be a little infuriating because he was. Oh, well, we love Harry for this. Again, this is one of those moments where you just love that Harry
I
stood
just
up.
don't get why it matters if he's there or not. He's doing his own thing.
Because they just wanted him to mesh with the team. There's
But he's doing his own thing. Like I just,
sure, I
to
know, it
me, it
doesn't
doesn't
really
make
make
sense
any
at
sense.
all
All the
because you're
players.
Yeah,
literally
honestly.
solo trying to catch
if he
a
was
snitch.
if he was like a beater or a keeper,
Yeah, then I see
then it
it.
would matter.
Let's
But
see if
seeker
if
is your
you
own
mesh.
game.
Yeah, I think that's stupid.
I think
of agree.
Slytherin is going to have a good shot because of their confidence and because they didn't lose any of the major players or they didn't lose their seeker.
Yeah.
We know Malfoy's still there. And Harry is just
He
not.
sucks.
He does not have his head on the game right now. Malfoy doesn't seem very good. You're right. Did he ever catch the snitch?
No, not that I can recall.
But we know Hufflepuff, lost their seeker.
He would have graduated though, no?
So they were going to lose him either way. He was a 7th year, or at
Yeah.
least 6th year.
Right, was it-
Maybe 7th. Or was he 5th year?
Who?
I don't remember.
Cedric.
Cedric.
Was he
He would have graduated.
Cedric was he was a 7th year, I think.
He was 7th.
At the
Okay,
time.
so maybe they were prepared for that. Like either way, they were training up a youngin to take his place. But who? And then Ravenclaw, we just don't hear much about. I don't know who's on their squad. We've heard it mentioned a time or two, but
Oh, so hold on. Cedric was a 6th year. 6th year when
Maybe
the
they weren't
Triwizards
prepared.
tournament
okay.
started.
So he would have been 7th year.
Yeah, he
so
would
maybe
been
they don't
7th
have
year.
someone trained up yet. But they could find.
Yeah, how
new
come
kid.
Ravenclaw's never in these Quidditch matches?
They were
They
in
are. They're
one.
just not
I don't
main
remember
characters.
it.
Do you know who was?
Yeah, I remember.
you might. Who was Ravenclaw Seeker?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask that. I have no idea. Some girl.
Do you guys remember?
Wait, it was some girl?
No, I'm just wanting
Oh.
it to be a girl.
That would be.
There was one clear moment that you guys should know. Come on, guys.
Come on. Ugh. We're going to be kicking ourselves and we'll hear it.
Cho.
Oh, yeah.
Because Harry's insides did a
Of
leap.
course.
She's a Ravenclaw?
She's a
I didn't know
Ravenclaw,
that.
Yeah, you're right. They're going to have a strong team then.
It is a
Maybe.
girl. I was right. Huh.
Also, I'm glad Cho was pretty chill. She's actually seems like she's processing Cedric's death in a healthy way. She was able to
Also-
talk about it.
Wait. Okay.
What?
When we're
Also-
done with this.
No, that was just one comment.
Okay. The Cho and Filch thing in the hourly.
So weird.
I can't say that.
Owlery?
Yeah, it's a tough word.
Did
I was
Mrs.
wondering-
Norris tell on them?
Who?
Did Mrs. Norris tell on Harry
No.
and Cho?
Wait, what? Filch came to look to see if Harry was sending.
Ordering dung bombs.
Right. So I
Or
was
was
wondering.
it Cho who was ordering them?
Why would she order them?
So she can
seems
throw
too
them at kids
mature.
during Quidditch.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Sounds like, a Cho
she could be a
move.
prankster. I don't think of her that way at all.
No, to me, I was wondering if they were trying. I was trying to figure that out because I was like, is Umbridge sending Filch up to stop Harry from sending a message to Sirius Black? But
like
using,
making up a lie to get. Yeah.
But using that lie
Yeah.
It's a weird one because
to
they're
stop.
going to the Owlery, but like, can they send letters from other places? Could he call
I know,
Hedwig
that's what I
down?
thought
Because
was
sometimes
weird,
it feels
too.
like the owls, if they drop off a package, they're coming into the Great Hall. So then could they just be like, oh, hold up, I've got a letter
But
for you,
maybe-
tie it to your leg right now. Boom.
Can you not summon your owl to come to you to send a message?
I feel like you could, right?
That's
like,
what I would think.
Something's
but
going
it
on. I
doesn't
need some
seem
help.
like it with this
Woo.
thing
You go. Yeah, you have a special call.
because he did use head.
He did when he went to the Owlery.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
a part of me was like, maybe he just used a basic one. to go to Sirius.
It is totally possible.
We have another line. From something the minister let slip when telling me you are now... Percy sends his letter. Which,
Ugh.
exactly.
Infuriated me.
From something the minister let slip when telling me you are now a prefect. I gather that you are still seeing a lot of Harry Potter. I must tell you, Ron, that nothing could put you in danger of losing your badge more than continued fraternization with that boy. Yes, I'm sure you are very surprised to hear this. No doubt. You will say that Potter has always been Dumbledore's favorites, but I feel bound to tell you that Dumbledore may not be in charge at Hogwarts for very much longer. And the people who count have a very different and probably more accurate view of Potter's behavior. I shall say no more here, but if you look at the Daily Prophet, you'll find it.
You saw me?
What does Percy mean here? Do you think Dumbledore would actually get sacked in this book?
I mean, at this rate, I feel like anything's possible because Umbridge has control and she's going and supervising each teacher and like grading them if they're like good enough to stay or not, it seems like. So
It's just wild.
she only likes, what's her name? The creature.
Yeah, Grubbly
professor?
Plank.
Yeah.
Oh, Grubbly Plank. I think Grubbly Plank's actually an interesting source here because she is someone who's like an unbiased. She doesn't have like a love for Dumbledore. She's not in the Order or anything like that. But, you know, she says this, that Dumbledore supported her and everything, and she wouldn't want anything changed in the school. She feels very supported and, you know, loved in the school.
It's perfectly neutral.
I know. She's
I'm
a good neutral
I
source.
think she's good and she's playing the part.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so great.
But what if Dumbledore doesn't get sacked? Do you think a teacher would get sacked?
Seems like Trelawney is.
McGonagall and Trelawney are both like, well, McGonagall especially.
Yeah, she got
She's
a lot
making
written down
enemies
on
right
her.
now.
Yeah. You think McGonagall will get sacked?
I don't know, but it seems like right after Dumbledore, she's the next in line to get sacked. Or who would they put in charge of the school? Umbridge, right? If they sack Dumbledore,
Oh my gosh.
that would
Or
be
what
it.
about
Would make
Fudge?
perfect sense.
No?
No, he's too
Fudge?
busy. He's got other things. Can't be the governor while you're the president, you know?
What if it's Lucius Malfoy?
Oh my. I feel like that would be terrible, obviously, like for the side of good, but I don't think he'd want to do it.
Why? He could put his son anywhere he wants.
Yeah, he could,
in like
but
a
like
good position.
I just think he would view it
Unless
as
he already
below
has
him,
everything.
maybe.
Yeah, he's too like rich and snooty.
Yeah, like I just can't quite picture it, but maybe if they needed him there. But who would become headmaster? I don't think of that happening in this book. That feels extreme.
Snape would become headmaster.
No, I thought of that.
Whoa.
I would love to see Umbridge
Actually,
in
that
Snape's
would
class.
kind of make sense.
Are we going to see that or no? I wonder.
That would be great.
Her supervising Snape. Umbridge.
That would be a battle.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, that would be weird. That's a dynamic I'd like to see
I know.
because it would give a lot of insight on both of them.
And
how they
actually, she's
interact.
only been in classes with female teachers. We haven't seen a male.
She did sit in on History of Magic.
Bins
right?
as a
With
ghost.
Bins, but
Secretly a male.
huh.
What is a ghost?
What is a ghost?
Non-binary. I have no idea.
She sat in. I don't think we got that lesson right, but she sat in on Flitwick's. I think the twins might have said that she sat in on Flitwick's or something.
Yeah, I think you might
That's
be
a
right.
guy.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. But we didn't get that dynamic. Her and Snape's
Right.
class would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Percy is also awful because he has this line. He goes, and I do hope, Ron, that you will not allow family ties to blind you to the misguided nature of our parents'
my
belief
gosh.
and actions either. I sincerely hope that in time they will realize how mistaken they were, and I shall, of course, be ready to accept a full apology when that day comes.
He's under some
My-
spell.
Yeah,
I
that
can't
was
believe
weird.
That's
This
no
is
way.
not how someone who's 20 years old talks, or even he could be 19.
Really?
It just felt like he's
You know what, though?
pretending to
When
be in the
you're-
business world.
Yeah, but when you envelop yourself in either a job or something and
just
you're
dove
only
in.
getting information from one side and you allow yourself to believe a little bit, he is fully
just absorbed.
believing everything that
It
he is
seems
being
like
told.
it.
And that letter
malleable, yeah.
shows it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my blood boiled when he said that.
Yeah.
He is so
Because he's not accepting any chance that he could be wrong.
Honestly, So assuming that Umbridge isn't Voldemort, Percy's not under a spell, all these things. Who is your least favorite character in these books right now? After this letter, to be honest, for me, it was Percy. I hated Percy. I remember the first time reading this, like I hated Umbridge, but I'm like, Percy? Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. What about any other, like Voldemort, Snape, Trelawney? I don't know. Who else? What other characters are lowest on your list?
Voldemort's not even a character in this book.
Umbridge is just the top, and Fudge.
Wow. Umbridge, Fudge. Then who's next?
That would be it. That's all I'm focused on. I don't have enough energy.
I feel like for me it was Fudge, Percy, Umbridge.
But Percy is like I don't care about him.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
So for
Do you
me,
think he'll become good again? I mean,
I don't really know
what
what's going on with him. But I'm just like, okay, you want to do your own thing? Bye.
Yeah. For the Weasley's sake, for Mr. and Mrs. Weasley's sake, that boils my blood.
Yep.
So like that gets to me.
For her, yeah.
Yeah, like on a smaller scale. I see where you're coming from. Umbridge obviously is top of my list, but I agree. Percy,
Yeah. That line was ridiculous.
that really got to me.
There's also another really interesting line when Ron goes, Hermione, you are honestly the most wonderful person I've ever met, said Ron weakly. And if I'm ever rude to you again, I'll know you've gone back to normal, said Hermione. Harry, yours is okay, except for this bit at the end. I think you must have misheard Professor Sinistra. Your Europa is covered in ice, not mice, Harry.
What?
I think it wild that Harry legitimately wrote
He legitimately thought
the
that.
moon
Like,
was covered in mice and not something else.
makes no sense.
I know. That's why. Is he really going to be a good teacher? Is he really? Can he leave Hogwarts and really be a good adult that he thinks a moon is covered in mice? Anyway, Sirius. They later have a meeting with Sirius in the fire, and this is the last question, but a few lines I want to read for you. Sirius goes, yes, but the world isn't split into good people and Death Eaters, said Sirius with a wry smile. I know she's a nasty piece of work, though. You should hear what Remus talks about, or you should hear Remus talk about her. And he goes, Fudge thinks Dumbledore will stop at nothing to seize power. He's getting more paranoid about Dumbledore by the day. It's a matter of time before he has Dumbledore arrested on some trumped-up charge. There was a pause in which Sirius looked out of the fire, a crease between his sunken eyes. Whew. He goes, you're less like your father than I thought, he said finally.
Oh, gosh.
A definite coolness in his voice. The risk would have been what made it fun for James. What do you think about everything that Sirius said here? How do you think of Sirius just in general in this chapter?
Big
He's
no-no.
immature.
Kind of
And
creepy
he's
checking in on the
selfish.
fire like that. Feels kind of weird. Like that he even can do that. He's a highly wanted criminal and nobody can tell that he's just snooping in on a common room. Like who else can do this?
I thought that was smart.
Like it's smart, but I just mean all of a sudden no fire is safe. What if Voldemort can do the same thing? He can just peek in on a common room whenever he wants. Like
Yeah, that is a little wild.
and Sirius, his face looks like a human face, but like, what if you could do something else to your face before you do the spy thing, make your face look like a log? Then you literally could just sit there spying and nobody would even know.
Yeah.
Or you just do what Sirius was doing and just peek in, hope nobody sees, whatever. That's fine.
Voldemort's
Make
just
your
chilling there.
face look like a log.
Well, I'm just thinking, if you become log face, then you
I can
could
just picture him sitting in the house and his head is a log.
log head. But like, it's just weird because then I'm like,
It's actually brilliant.
because again, that's what we were saying where Harry was using the flu network and he's flying by. We said, use omnioculars. You just slow down and you can see what was going on as you go flying past something.
Yeah.
This is just that to the next level. You just peek in on any fire. Maybe Sirius has some real skills and that's why he can do this. But all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, wait a second. Hogwarts is not as secure as I thought unless Sirius worked this out with Dumbledore ahead of time. Actually, that could be, because otherwise I can't trust any fireplace ever. You can't ever tell secrets around a fire.
Yep. And anybody can
it's
just
the
drop into your house
best
at any moment. Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
First, it's like the coziest place. I was at my brother's
perfect.
yesterday and they had a fire roaring. It's like the coziest place.
best.
In the back of my head, I'm going, Sirius Black in this fire right now?
With a log face.
Is Voldemort listening with a log face? Yeah.
I actually forgot all this stuff with Umbridge because she really is nuts about tagging non-humans.
Yeah.
And that's why Lupin has such an issue with
Yep.
her.
So now
That's
she's
why she's not
on
good.
Well, this is where she crossed the line. Like to me, like torturing a kid, that's whatever, right? You know. But
Bad for your kids.
but it just
kick him.
I think is she part frog? And she's just fighting who she is this whole time. So all part humans, she kind of hates on because she knows that she was one of them.
To be a
The
frog.
inner conflict. Yeah.
Just like Voldemort is part Muggle.
She's waiting for her
hating
kiss,
on all
Danny.
that.
She's
She's waiting for her Prince Charming.
Well, she should stop torturing.
I think she
people.
already had it
That's
though.
step
This is what came of it. She was a toad, and now she's a human.
waiting for another kiss from a toad to go back to being a toad.
It felt like
This is it. I'm done.
I was just so disappointed with Sirius feeling like he got childish at the end. Like insulting Harry. Like he was trying to get a dig in there. Like your father wouldn't be this way. Like that's not cool to like, again, that's why he's not a father figure right now. Because this isn't like, I mean, well, maybe I'm spoiled because my dad is great. But like, I just can't imagine a father figure taking this approach to a son. You know, it's like you don't hurt your son's feelings. This felt like over the line, like trying to, it just felt immature. Like Sirius was hurt that he didn't get what he wanted, so he tries to insult or make Harry feel bad. I was like, that's so lame. Obviously still love Sirius, but this is showing his lack of experience as a father figure.
But I was going to say, too, he was in Azkaban for 13 years.
Yeah.
So, like, he didn't grow up.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
that probably
it's true.
paused
Is
his
still
development.
in that, like, early, what would that be?
He pops
Wow,
out.
that's so
like
weird.
pretty much the 7th year. He still wants to hang out with Harry and do all the crazy things.
Yeah,
he's doing.
so I'm
Wow,
like,
you're right.
it makes more sense to react when you lost 13 years of your life.
Yeah.
And like this poor guy, he was in Azkaban 13 years. Now he's in another
locked up
prison
again.
in the Order.
Yep.
So he's not even. I would take any chance I could get to get out too.
Yeah.
So like it feels like your freedom taken away.
Yeah.
So the reaction is immature, but I feel like it's okay. I'm trying to think of the
Yeah.
word.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I hated that line though. You're less like your father than I thought.
That
Uncalled
was
for.
brutal.
Yeah.
Jen, everyone's having a conversation in chat right now about everything that you just said. And you just mentioned it, and everyone's like, they go, yes, Jen. Jen is on it. Jen, you're so right, bestie.
Thanks, guys.
Because everything they were saying that he's in prison, that he hasn't matured fast enough, that he's still living in his glory days, and you pretty much mentioned all of that perfectly, and you're just right on it. That's perfect.
Nailed it.
Jen
is the minor celebrity of this podcast. That's what my coworker says too.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm Jen.
Relatable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's like, if I was there, I would be Jen every time. Nice, Richie.
I don't even know what that means, but yay.
Chapter 15, unless Danny had anything else in chapter 14.
Always. I'm just trying to gauge where
Actually,
people are
pulls it
at.
out.
Sturgis, he's 38. So I was just trying to figure out where that would put him in the timeline of things. And I'm just thinking who he went to school with. Did he go to Hogwarts and all that? Weird that they put his address in the article. I'm like, what is this? You throwing people's addresses out there?
That is wild.
Unless that address comes back around later. Also, when they were prepping for Quidditch, they went to the changing room. Is this a co-ed changing room?
It's Hogwarts, of course it is.
Yeah, right. I just like felt a little weird. I'm like, oh, the changing room? Like the team has one place. And I was like, weird.
No, did it mention this in the books yet? Maybe this mentions it
Is it a
soon.
co-ed
This isn't a
chamber?
spoiler at all, but because Hogwarts trusts women more than it trusts men, if boys try to go into a girls' dormitory, they'll get immediately kicked out in some magical way. If a girl walks into a boys' dormitory, it's more she can do that.
Whoa, cool. That hasn't come up
more
yet.
emotionally mature and they can handle it.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think we've seen that yet, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Anything else in that chapter before we go to chapter 15?
No, that's it.
All right.
Sure.
Well, of course, there are always other things, but
We'll come back at the end of the podcast.
Jen is the podcast. Jen for president.
Oh my goodness.
Jen for
guys.
defense against the dark arts.
yeah, nice.
Oh, That's so good. Okay.
So they all agree that they're all evil and they're all for Voldemort.
Chapter 15, Hogwarts High Inquisitor. Give me a summary for this chapter.
You take it.
Ah, sure. Umbridge gets more power as the High Inquisitor. Harry gets another detention. Classes start getting audited.
Hold on, time out. On the note that I said before, there's a girl on the podcast that goes, Hogwarts underestimates how perverted I am. Oh my god, that's so
That's
funny,
great.
Becky. Oh, throwing you under the bus, but that's so funny. Oh, okay, keep going, Danny. Sorry.
Hermione and Ron want Harry to teach Defense Against the Dark Arts,
Yeah.
but kind of like implying secretly.
Yes. Perfect. Good. Okay. First of all, what do you think about Umbridge being appointed as Hogwarts High Inquisitor?
It's great.
Oh my.
Danny loves it.
Yeah, give her more power. That way she could torture more kids.
But it's not really torture. It's just having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just
All in
having
good
fun
fun.
with it.
Yeah.
No pain, no gain.
Oh,
So everyone will all have different sayings on their hands.
I just don't get how the ministry can just start making up new rules. And this is why those people can't leave out of protest as if they think that's like saying something. Oh, we're off the Wizengamot. We're just going to like chill.
I
Aha,
missed
take that.
something because I don't know what you guys are talking about when you're bringing this up.
Oh, so
2 people.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It was in the article. So the Daily Prophet wrote the article about the Hogwarts High Inquisitor. And at the very end of the article, there was like a little note where it says these 2 people, which I think I wrote it down. Or maybe I didn't actually, unfortunately. But 2 people left because they didn't like them butting into
Griselda.
Hogwarts.
Griselda Marchbanks and Tiberius Ogden. They
Maybe.
both resigned because of this introduction of the
This
post
year.
Like right now,
now.
they
Got
resigned
it.
from it. Yeah, like
I
at the
missed
same
that.
time. And then the article like kind of says, for a full account of Madame Marchbank's alleged links to subversive goblin groups, turn to page 17. So they said that they like resigned out of protest, and then now they're trying to discredit this person.
Got
Like,
it.
yeah, she's associated with goblins, which is also weird because I thought they're
Fudge
chill with
eats
goblins, but now
goblins.
you're like, yeah, they're being open about their like racism. So weird. The goblins still control the money, right? So, anyways, I'm confused by all these dynamics. And they're hating on the half giant Rubius Hagrid and the werewolf
Yeah.
Remus Lupin and Mad Eye Moody.
It was
Delusional.
really funny too in the class when she goes, you've only had all your teachers have been competent at this except for maybe one, Professor Quirrell. And Harry's like, yeah, he had Voldemort growing out of his back.
Did they not believe that was
so
true?
good.
I
Did the
think they do
ministry
know-
never?
Because there was never confirmation on that either.
Yeah, right.
So I think they did at that moment, but now that it was from Harry's perspective, they realized, hold on, maybe that wasn't actually legitimate.
They're thinking maybe that was a lie to begin
Everything's
with. And they're thinking
discredited
Quirrell was a
from
good teacher. He was a bad
Harry.
teacher no matter how you
Terrible
look
teacher,
at it.
I know.
But now they can have free reign to just keep on making adjustments to the code or the rules or whatever. And they can they have full control because they made this first change on August 30th, the Educational Decree 22. And then they made another one, 23, and they added the Hogwarts High Inquisitor. So they'll just keep making these changes to do
Yeah.
whatever they want. And that's how they'd be able to kick Dumbledore out of his position. So
Yeah, they just keep making changes until they just are able to replace them. Yeah, 2 budding worlds together. It's going to be a bit of a mess. Do you guys remember what the grades for the owl grading system are?
Something really weird.
Yeah. So the highest grade is what, you know?
I wrote it all down, but I'm trying to think if I can do it without peeking.
Yeah.
No, I
there's
can't.
a
I don't
P.
remember.
Yeah, there's a P. I
Yeah.
know
What did
that.
P stand for? Passing?
Pass.
Oh, I'm like poor.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
actually,
I
it might have
Maybe
stood
it was
for-
poor. I don't remember.
No, it might have been. Don't quote me.
I thought
was
it
like-
was Pat. And then is there
I think it was
E?
pass.
All right, I'm going to peek.
I wrote it down, but I'm like doubting myself.
Oh, yeah, poor.
Poor,
So
okay.
it's
Oh, it was
outstanding, highest, because it's 6 levels, then exceeds expectations, then acceptable. I guess that's
the
like
last passing grade.
average, then poor, dreadful, and T, troll, Might be troll, it might not. They might have been joking. It's hard to
to.
tell, but it seems like probably just
Wait, but then I was confused because didn't Hermione write the essay or whatever for Harry and Ron, and then Harry got a D, or he didn't pass? I was so confused. Maybe I heard it wrong.
Huh.
So then I was like, wait, Hermione wrote their papers. How did they not get a good grade?
She wrote them?
I thought
she just corrected it for
corrected
errors.
Things. Yeah.
Oh, I thought she would have changed. But that's what I'm saying. Like, even if she corrected it, like edited it, it shouldn't have been a
But the essay that
failing
she
grade.
corrected, I thought was on Jupiter's moons. And that would have been for
I
a
thought she
different
corrects
class.
all their stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But I did think it was that one, so maybe that's where.
Because maybe she didn't correct Snape's essay on Moonstones.
I thought they did. I thought she
Maybe,
did.
maybe she did. And
'Cause
then,
I thought
then
they
Snape
were like,
just has
"Oh,
it
you're
out for
actually
Harry.
going to help us."
Well, if she did, then that would prove that Snape really
Yeah.
likes Harry.
But we don't actually. Is it confirmed that he failed, or he was like hiding it, and didn't say anything, which is implying he failed, but
Well, yeah, it said he got
Got
a
a
D.
D.
He got a D.
And a D.
is failing.
Dreadful.
Yeah,
that's pretty
D's
much
get
failing.
degrees, but not at Hogwarts.
Definitely not. A
Dreadful. Oof. It's pretty low. And again, it would have not solved problems, but I wanted Harry to just admit that he got a D right away, because then nobody would have made fun of it if they knew. They would have been like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, Harry. And Hermione would have said, I'll tutor you and whatever if you need help. Or Snape's got it out for you and this isn't fair. And like, we've got to team up to whatever. But it just kind of felt like, again, Harry put up a little wall and it made him feel more like an outsider.
But isn't it funny where like people ask you like, "Did you do good?" But they're like, "Just ask me what I got."
Yeah, just ask. Don't like
grade?
be all weird
Stop
about it.
being so indirect. Just ask. I hate that.
I would always just look around
Yeah, you just sneak peeks at everyone else.
when they handed it back.
Yep.
I'm like, let me see.
Did you guys feel bad for Trelawney in the moment where she's getting
Yeah,
judged
Yeah,
or inspected?
definitely.
because she like got so weak. I feel like
Yeah.
she should have stood her ground.
I like Trelawney.
You liked her before this?
Yeah, in general, I think I do. I don't like her approach to like telling people they're gonna
You
die and
just
stuff.
like her,
but like as a
like,
person, I feel
drugs.
like she just feels innocent.
Yeah.
She's like in the clouds in a way.
She's drugging the kids, and you love
Oh,
it.
do we confirm that? Well, I like kids torture, so you know it makes sense.
Headcanon right there.
No, like they were like, but as a person, she just seems kind of like innocent. She's oblivious to a lot that's going on in the world, but it feels like, yeah,
Oh, and then she started saying something was going to happen to Umbridge or something.
Yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, nice try. That's a reach."
Yep.
Basically,
but yeah,
in
definitely
front of
felt
the
bad for her.
students too.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't
weird,
have answered. I would have been like,
unprofessional,
"I
we
am
can
the
discuss
teacher,
after class.
and yeah, we could talk
Yeah.
about this later,
Yeah.
not in front of the kids."
Seriously, yeah. But that's not. I think she's just a person that gets easily flustered. Whereas McGonagall stands her ground and she's like, "Get out of my
That was
face!"
so great.
Stupid. Yeah. Because how long has Trelawney been teaching at the school? Did you guys?
16 years?
16 years, I think.
Oh, something.
Wait,
in
who?
a teen.
Trelawney.
Trelawney?
right?
Yeah.
I
Wait,
thought it
Trelawney
was
or-
13.
No,
Well,
McGonagall's done 30
Yeah,
Yeah,
McGonagall
years or
started
something
in
like that.
56. So
Oh my gosh, you know.
no, I'm just guessing. I think it was 56, but I did the math on
But
it.
Trelawney, I'm pretty positive, was 16 years.
Okay, yeah. Oh, and that's a weird one too, because it says nearly 16 years, but we're already mid-year. How could it be nearly 16? Which means she started under weird circumstances, because she didn't start at the beginning of the year, which would have made it 16 years. She said nearly, which
Maybe
means
she forgot
started
a year or two, and that's
No,
nearly.
no. She knows. These were mysterious circumstances, because when McGonagall was asked the same question, she said definitively an amount of time, because she started at the beginning of the
Yeah, but
year,
it's
That could
which
be her
means
personality.
it could be. But either way, nearly
He's
though.
gonna dig.
Because this is early in the year.
So
This
what
might be
happened
October.
before, maybe?
Yeah,
So-
what's your theory?
I'm thinking she started in November or December or January, Christmas time, turn of the year, halfway through the year, when something weird happened. So 16 years.
The professor
Voldemort is
before.
rising to power. Like, this is like a weird time in history for wizards. And she's starting mid-year.
So who was it? What, Voldemort was the
Also,
Seeing
that would
eye
have been
teacher?
that would have been near.
Seeing
We don't
eye
know.
teacher.
Seeing eye teacher. What the, like a dog? The seeing eye snake.
That's what we need to call her from now on. She's a seeing eye teacher. That is so good.
it just flowed out so nicely.
Yeah, no, it works. The seeing eye teacher.
Man.
Well, because that would have been a curious time. I'm just making it up on the fly, but that would have been around the time that Harry's parents would have been 7th years, potentially. Maybe they already graduated. Maybe.
And Voldemort
But
is older by how much? Since
a bunch.
you know all this.
He's
math
more
I
like
can't
Hagrid's
track.
age.
Which is like 20 years older.
Yeah, like he could be in his 60s right now. I think. I'd
He
have
looks
to look
good
again.
for his being in his
He does.
60s.
The dark arts, you know, keeps you young.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny.
But he got to pause time a little bit
when he was a
when he was a shriveled worm human.
screw.
Oh no, he was like a spirit for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know.
a squib.
Oh,
A squib.
Else. Good lord.
I can't even think what you're thinking. So,
So yeah, there's some mystery to Trelawney's start. That's my theory.
but you think someone evil was before?
No,
in
I'm not
her
going that
role.
far. I just think that when she started, because Dumbledore was the headmaster long before she started. Dumbledore, I don't know if we know exactly when he started. Let me look at my notes. But I
You
know
think
that
something happened though,
something
where
happened.
Trelawney had to step in.
Yep.
So maybe she was never supposed to be a teacher, but she was a substitute, and then she stayed for 16-ish years.
So we know that Dumbledore was the headmaster in the 60s because that's when Snape, Lupin, Black, James Potter, Peter Pettigrew were all at Hogwarts.
You have a
But McGonagall-
timeline in your phone.
Yeah.
You need to publish this.
Just because whenever I like come across something, I write it down.
Yeah, you need to send me screenshots of that.
But,
What?
I'm just looking at my timeline trying to see. Voldemort began his rise to power in
I said something
1970.
Instead of squib.
And
He's in his own world.
and Trelawney didn't become so this was a decade into Voldemort's rise to power, and Trelawney then in 80 wait, in 80 that would make exactly in 81 Trelawney started at Hogwarts.
Can I
Sounds
see
like
this
mid-year.
timeline?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I cite all
Have
of the
you
pages
seen
where I find
this?
this information. So
The history of wizards. Have you seen this?
I'm writing the book.
this.
I want to write
Yeah.
my own book. So
Yes. Oh, Danny, if you are just saying right now that you're a bigger Potterhead than some people listening, and the fact that you want to write a book about the history of this stuff is so good. A little
Well,
companion guide to reading.
and you know, it was funny when
Book 5, page 307.
yeah, that's where I found that information. It was you mentioned fan fiction about Hermione starting at Hogwarts, and I was like, oh man, I never even thought about it. That would be so fun to
Yeah.
write little fan fiction short stories or something. But that's next level.
Maybe we
only
would
when I'm
have
done.
readers now.
I know.
So, anyways, sorry, long little side
yeah,
thing, but
Danny-
there's mystery there.
You got to send me a screenshot of that because people are actually wanting to
Ooh, nice.
me to put it on the sub.
Yeah, nice. That way, because it'll update as
You
time
better
goes on.
copyright
Yeah,
that.
What?
But
I said you better
I know.
copyright
the
it.
weird part is that most of what we know is coming from like hearsay. It's all like very fallible. Trelawney could have just lied. You know what I mean? Anyone can just make things up. They're just saying things. So it's only what we know as of now. There aren't a lot of like really set in stone things. So it's cool that it all could change as time goes on too.
Not
So
really.
she came in mid-year for some.
Mysterious reasons in 1981. Very interesting timing because that's when. Oh yeah, well I keep thinking of Harry as being 13 or 14. That's when Harry got killed,
Yeah.
or Harry's parents got killed. Ooh. Maybe Harry. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know.
Different theory.
So that is just weird timing. That it legitimately, it probably wasn't exactly when Harry's parents got killed because he was about 1 year old. So that was in the summer, you know, May, June, July, probably, maybe even August, September, October. But maybe he was 1.5 almost, 1 and 3 months. And this happened literally exactly when his parents got killed. All possible. But suspicious timing.
We'll see. Maybe.
Sorry,
we'll
that
see
was quite
this. Any side notes that you guys go on are the best parts of this podcast. I love them so much. Okay, we asked a few of these. I just have a few lines for you guys that I want to read. Just funny lines, good lines with McGonagall. McGonagall goes, yes, said Professor McGonagall, turning around, her eyebrows so close together they seemed to form one long, severe line. I was wondering, Professor, whether you received my note telling you of the date and time of your inspect. Obviously, I received it, or I would have asked what you were doing in my classroom, said Professor McGonagall,
so
turning her back firmly on Professor Umbridge. Many of the students exchanged a look of glee. As I was saying, today we shall be practicing the altogether more difficult vanishment of mice. Now, the vanishing spell. Hermione goes, she's an awful woman, said Hermione in a small voice. Awful. You know, I was just saying to Ron when you came in, we've got to do something about her. I suggested poison, said Ron grimly. Hermione heaved a deep sigh. Isn't it obvious, she said. I'm talking about you, Harry. Do you think that Harry would actually be a good teacher? We talked about it a little bit, but you think he'd be a good teacher?
No.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Because I don't think he can explain
Yeah.
it. He just does it because it's instinct.
Because Dumbledore's the one that explains everything to him.
Yeah. It's kind of like I think of like an athlete that's very talented. They didn't have to like train much. And they're taking someone that doesn't know anything and like trying to teach them. I just can't picture it like being helpful.
Yeah.
I think it's great that like he can warn them what it feels like this is what's going to happen if you encounter him. You're not going to be able to think. You're going to be so scared that you're like, when am I going to die? How am I going to die? So like they can have that emotional preparedness, but like actually to practice anything, I don't think.
There is some magic that he could probably teach them decently, like because he's learned the Patronus charm, and because he's had to like internalize that so much and figure that out, I think he could be an actual good person to teach him. Sometimes there's magic, like Lupin teaches that very well, and a lot of other teachers. But sometimes when you're so far down the line, I can't imagine Molly Weasley teaching that really, really well, the Patronus charm, because she's just done it for so long. It's like riding a bike. It's like, how do you actually teach this? So this is like a small example.
Is everyone good at Patronus? Didn't sound like it.
And not everyone is good at Patronuses, but even just, I guess for basic spells, maybe a Patronus is a different example, but if you've been doing it for so long and you try to explain it to someone who's just starting to do it, you're like, why don't you get this? This is stupid.
Right.
For Harry, who's still actually struggling through his conjuring his Patronus, it might be more like, okay, this is what I'm going through. This is how you have to actually do it. Like I took I'm taking flying lessons for like small aircraft.
Whoa.
And
For real?
I had my first one.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had my first one. It was just on the cuff. I just wanted to do it. I had my first one on Thursday, and I went, and the guy was like 60 years old teaching it, and he essentially was like, so this is this meter, this is this meter, this is this meter, this is this meter, this is what this does, this is what this does. He's like, there are three controls of how you have to turn the plane and fly the plane. He's like, I didn't even remember what they were all called, but the little steering wheel thing, you push up and down on that moves the nose. With your feet, you actually drive the rudder pedal, and then you have to turn right and left with this thing. And he's like, you're when you bank, he's like, the horizon has to be on the same exact level as this. And I am about to jump in the passenger seat in the plane, and he goes, no, you're the pilot. So I have to jump in the pilot seat, and I have to fly this plane just like...
On your first lesson?
Yeah, first lesson. It's like, so there's...
He should be a teacher at Hogwarts.
I know, there's reins on both sides, but he threw me into the deep end. I landed, and I drove home. My head was like ringing from all the information. I was like in a stupor of like, it was so much fun to fly, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was like, I need someone who... There was a person there he was like the secretary, or he was like the person running this small little airport. And he was talking to me before my lesson. He was explaining everything to me so well. He's like, I just got my license 5 years ago.
Whoa.
And he was explaining everything. And he was like talking me through everything. I was asking him questions. And he's like, that's not a stupid question. He's like, that's great. He's like, we will hold your hand through this whole thing. And then I got some other guy that didn't hold my hand. He's like, get in the pilot seat. You're flying this plane. And it was actually terrifying.
Whoa.
But it was really fun.
Sometimes it's good to learn, like hands-on learning, because otherwise you'll never learn it.
Agreed. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to be thrown out of the nest a little bit, you know?
When you said you were learning flying, I was just thinking.
Yeah, he goes into the field and flaps.
No, but I was thinking on a broomstick. I was like, are you being serious?
Oh, that would be so great.
He's training for the Quidditch World Cup
my
in Richmond
God.
this year.
It's like close
That
as
would
you
be
can get.
so
My brain like couldn't
great.
compute what was happening.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like
pretty
for
great,
real? Or are
actually.
we like talking make believe?
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's
Really cool,
awesome.
Oh, people are saying some crazy stuff in the chat. They were saying that Filch got Trelawney pregnant, so she had to stick around.
Oh my word.
Oh my.
Wait,
There's some
say
weird
Who's her
professor
child?
love relationships going on right now. Who's the child exactly?
The cat.
I know.
Oh my. So it's not Filch's wife.
Yes.
It's Filch's cat. I mean, it's child.
Oh,
Wow.
moving on.
Oh boy.
But weird to call your child Mrs. Norris.
Yeah. There is this line that
track.
Harry has here. And this is the line that kind of all of us feel when we read these books. He goes, "You don't know what it's like. Neither of you have been neither of you. Wait, you neither. My book or I miswrote this. Sorry. Neither of you have ever been to face him, have you? You think it's just memorizing a bunch of spells and throwing them at him, like you're in class or something. The whole time, you're sure you know there's something between you and dying, except your own brain or guts or whatever like that. You can't think straight. And when you know you're about a nanosecond from being murdered or tortured or watching your friends die, they've never taught us that in their classes, what it's like to deal with these things, what it's like to deal with things like that. And you two are just sitting around there acting like I'm a clever little boy to be standing here alive. Like Diggory was stupid, like he messed up. You just don't get it. That could just have easily have been me. It would have been if Voldemort had needed me, which is a tough one. And then we have this other line too. Reparo, Harry muttered, pointing the wand at the broken pieces of china. They flew back together, as good as new, but there was no returning the Murtlap essence to the bowl. He was suddenly so tired he was tempted to sink back into his armchair and sleep there. But instead, he forced himself up to his feet and followed Ron upstairs. His restless night was punctuated once more by dreams of long corridors and locked doors, and he awoke next day with his scar prickling again. So let's digest these two lines. Do you think Harry's response is good here? Hermione goes, that's exactly why we need you as a teacher, but what do you think about that? What do you think about his dream? All that kind of stuff.
I liked the back and forth. Misplaced anger a little on Harry's part.
Yeah.
But it was good for him to get it out. And Hermione was great to call it out and say, look, this is why we need you. And they'd be a good team. Harry is the why we're learning what we're learning, and Hermione is the what we're learning part.
Yeah.
And then maybe Ron can be part of that team too, and like be the real down to earth person, be like, yeah, I know school is so lame and I hate learning too, but let me help you through this because I learned it, and if I can, you can.
Yeah.
So the three of them would be a great teaching team.
Yeah, they honestly would be. Yeah.
I'm glad that Harry was humble about defeating Voldemort too. He was like kind of like admitting a lot of this is luck, and I'm not that special. And it's good to see that Harry is aware of that. It made me like him more. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like there's a humility there. He's self-aware. And at the end said he was feeling ashamed of his outburst already. So that's like good. He's like, oh man, that wasn't a good way to handle this. So this was like a cool friendship thing, and I think healthy for everybody.
It definitely shows his maturation a little bit. Like he is getting angry at these moments, but he stops after and feels guilty about them. So now he has the action of, what am I going to do? Am I going to keep getting angry at people and keep feeling like crap about myself that I get angry at these people that I love? Or am I going to fix this? So we'll see how he kind of progresses, I guess. But he is showing at least signs of him being forced to mature through this stuff.
But this dream.
Hermione always helps too. I love
Yeah,
it.
she's so good at that.
Yeah.
She calls things out.
She's
She's so
like,
level-headed.
I said, she's like you. You're always coming up with like, this is why you're acting this way. The psychological part of it, I feel like.
Oh.
That's very necessary.
Help. Well, take a compliment.
Yeah, nice.
Even though it didn't sound like one, I guess.
Thanks.
Yeah, what do you guys think about this dream too? This is the last question before we go into the final stuff.
Danny has theories on this. Right?
Well, just the same that we've kind of been saying. I kept thinking it was a Voldemort perspective or a premonition of what's going to happen in the future. I lean more premonition now, unless Voldemort is locked in a corridor with like long corridor with locked doors. Like if this is current time Voldemort connection, why is Voldemort in the same place he's been for weeks? In like, is
Maybe
he
this
lost
is
somewhere?
Where the that secret weapon is.
Like, yeah, is
And
that what
he's
it is?
seeing,
Like,
a premonition, like you're saying.
and in Wizarding World, a lot of things can be possible. Like, is he trapped in some weird long corridor that he literally loops, like feels like the Matrix or something? He's just trapped somewhere. Could that be a Voldemort thing? Or is this all just the same moment in time that Harry is going to experience later that he's getting a flash forward to?
Why
I'm not
hasn't he
sure.
told anyone about this dream?
Again, that's classic
So
Harry.
annoying.
I feel like it would be helpful if he told somebody.
Because they could be like, what does it look like?
Yeah, what
oh,
color
I
doors?
know where that is.
Are there numbers on the doors? Yeah, like are there lights, lanterns? What's going on? Like paint this picture for us.
He used that before. That's his hideout. Like this is where
Right.
Yeah, anything.
Anything, but he's not telling people, and I'm thinking of all this
Is
information
that
as
like
being
a prideful
valuable.
thing? Like I just want to figure this out on my own. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And he does have to get over that, and we're learning. Like he's learning, he's getting better at this, but it's going to take more time because even the stuff with the scar that was part of the last book. It was hurting. He didn't want to say anything. He finally does, and then the same thing's kind of happening again. Like just
But now
get it out there.
But so now I part of me feels like Harry can't get killed by Voldemort in a way.
Can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's because he didn't have his full strength back. But like it seems like the wands don't want that to happen.
So do you think you would pick another wand to try to kill him? Like if he used another wand, Voldemort, do you think it would
Voldemort?
actually work?
Are you talking
But then
about
the
Voldemort or
wand
Harry
wouldn't
or
choose
either or?
Voldemort.
What do you mean?
Like, because the wand chooses the wizard.
Yeah.
So
But
Voldemort,
you can still use a wand and
right?
not choose
But it
one.
might
Then
not be
would
its
your
fullest.
skills be that great without your wand? I don't know.
Maybe they would be slightly
As
off, but
powerful?
still like pretty good. Because we've seen that a couple times where wizards use other wands, or
Yeah.
this entire time Malfoy's using a wand his mom picked up.
Yeah. And do you think that's something like, how about this? If we're in a duel together and I defeat you in the duel, do you think that the wand would choose the person that is more strong? Like, do you think that the wand would kind of abandon a person and be like, oh, that person's a little bit better at magic. I'll become their master now.
Like the wand submits to. I did kind of
Yeah.
think a little bit about that, like with duels, because it kind of gave me, maybe I watched Fast and the Furious or something, but like racing for pinks, it's like the winner of the race gets both cars.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
you get the loser's car. But then why would you want the wand of the loser if you just beat them with your
Yeah,
own wand? So that
sure.
feels like a strange dynamic.
But then I'm wondering, could they summon each other's wands? So like, could Harry take Voldemort's wand and then use both of them against him?
Because did Harry
Or
just
vice
earn
versa.
Voldemort's wand
Dual wield it like little Darth
Ooh.
Maul action right there.
with the power of 2 phoenix feathers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think we will learn more about wand making and all that because it's come up a few
But
times.
apparently not. Whoever his
Well,
friend
yeah,
was.
not as much as we want to, certainly. We won't get the How It's Made episode yet. But we'll keep getting some more hints at it, I think, because we know that Voldemort is not going to feel that confident. If he's done a little research now, he's going to understand about Priori and Cantatum, and he's going to come into the next battle ready for it. Maybe that's
How can you
the
be
secret
ready
weapon.
for
Maybe
it?
that's what he's looking for right now, a more powerful wand. Because
Maybe that's why
he
he's
knows
waiting around.
he can't use a wand that Harry can defeat him with. He needs something bigger and better, and he can't just go to Ollivander,
He's making his own wand.
Maybe it takes a long time to make your own wand. Maybe he needs the ingredients and he's like, phoenix feather, lame. Dragon heartstring, lame. I need
Unicorn hair.
maybe.
For Jen, it would be.
But I feel like, nice, because that's yours. But I feel like it needs to be something even like more, because we've already seen all of these things
He's
and
creating
unicorn
his own.
blood and stuff like that. But like, could there be another magical creature we haven't seen? Or is there in the
Hippogriff.
somewhere?
Feather.
Yeah. Is there something within the Ministry of Magic that they have that would make for a good ingredient, or like some kind of tree
I feel
that
like
is super
Lucius
rare?
Malfoy has some like hidden agenda
Ooh,
with
nice.
Fudge to get some access to something secretive or
What were they discussing
protected,
again? Do
or
you
the
remember?
ancient ruins in Egypt. They didn't say what they were discussing,
Yeah, maybe they found an ancient,
but I think that has something to do with it.
or an ancient tree of life underneath a pyramid, and they can carve a wand out of that.
Which tree do you think would be the strongest tree to make a wand out of? The best wood.
I feel like the older the tree is, the better it would be.
A red oak,
A whomping willow, because you really got to earn it. You know, well, maybe I don't
flexible too, probably, right?
know. Yeah,
Redwood.
I feel like.
Bamboo.
Are there other kinds of trees?
That's very hard.
What?
Bamboo.
Ooh.
That's
It'd
really
be
hard.
quick. You can make a ton of wands with bamboo.
And they're light.
Right.
I know. Disposable wands.
I wonder what kind of.
Disposable, one-time use, dailies.
I wonder what kind of
untraceable.
plant. That
Neville?
what's this thing that Neville has?
You think I
I think
remember
of it more like a
names?
cactus,
Boltonian?
so it probably can't make a good wand. But maybe when it's fully grown, it's more tree-like. I'm just trying to think of any other trees or shrubbery that have come up. Nothing's coming to mind.
They don't have anything except the whomping willow they mentioned.
Yeah, but the tree types
What
have
about
come up
those
quite a bit.
screaming little
Oh, you know
things?
what? I bet oak is pretty good.
What are they? What the heck was that called?
Was that Halloween costume?
Pull it out.
Yeah, the Halloween
Mandrake.
costume. Mandrake, yeah.
That'd be so great.
Hogwarts
One
has
screams.
oak doors, so oak must be a pretty legit
Yeah.
wood.
I can't believe you know this.
That is wild that you know it. We're going to go to a trivia night one of these days, and they're going to go, what are Hogwarts
can't wait
doors
to go
made
to,
out of? And Danny's going to be
Harry
like,
Potter.
easy, oak doors. Simple question.
What was the knob on Dumbledore's
Yeah.
door?
Yes, exactly. You guys are going to know this stuff. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
Our combined knowledge at a trivia
But
night
that knob
might do
was a
well.
griffin, right? What was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
You know.
But only
Okay.
because you pointed it out when
Yeah,
it came
I know.
up.
Here's a final question. What do you think is going to happen kind of toward the end of this book? Like, what is it all driving at? Do you guys have an idea of that yet? And this marks the halfway point for the books, which is wild. We feel like we're coming to an end, but the tension with Dolores chapter is dead halfway through this book.
I literally thought I was misremembering. I'm like, wait, chapter
No.
13 was halfway. No, that must have been book 4.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
I know.
It's so great.
So
I was
a lot of
excited. I'm like,
journey
yeah, there's so much
left,
more
guys,
to
I
get to.
but we're going to be at this for another year, so I'm sorry, guys.
Well, at this rate.
I don't know. Jen, what do you think is going to happen? Is this going to be all out war by the end of this book? Or is this end of this book going to be everyone realizes Voldemort's
I
at
can't-
power?
I can't
Again.
decide whether it's like a war between Hogwarts and the Ministry of Magic. If we're just going to see that, or we're going to see that corruption or like that battle and Voldemort 2 starting to come out. Because I'm just going off that last book. We didn't expect Voldemort to rise that quickly.
Yeah,
I was thinking
yeah.
this book or the next one. So I feel like it is going to, something with Voldemort is going to happen with.
I feel like
Towards the
that
end of the
would
book.
be a pretty legit ending. Like the end of this book, I'm being a little hopeful. It'd be nice if the Ministry could be good again. Like if at the end of this book, the Ministry and the Daily Prophet realize Voldemort is back. So that narrative then goes away.
And they
the whole
join
he's
the
not back,
Order of
Harry's
the
lying.
Phoenix.
And then it can be about let's unite against Voldemort, but then anyone who had any part of bad in them or whatever like a lot of wizards would then be able to go to Voldemort's side, and then it kind of sets up, it draws the lines for the battle.
So do you think Umbridge would be like, if that happens, do you think Umbridge is going over to the good side or the dark side?
I really don't know, but I think
And what would Percy do as well? And what would Fudge do as well?
if lines are drawn right now, Percy would follow
Fudge. It would
Fudge,
follow
I
Voldemort.
think. But I don't think Fudge would go that way. I think Fudge would be on the side of good. I don't like him.
I think Fudge would just run away.
I think he's a coward. I think he's scared. Something about the way he said his final lines to Dumbledore in the last book, it got me. Where I'm like, I genuinely believe that he is scared. I don't think of him as being evil. He's making terrible choices in fear right now. And I think that could bring Percy back to the side of good, unless he starts to perceive someone else as more powerful. Because I don't know what drives Percy yet.
Yeah.
What if it's Lucius Malfoy? And then he sees Lucius and starts to realize Fudge doesn't even know what he's doing. He doesn't have any real power. He's just like a poser. But Lucius, ooh, that's a man with power. And maybe that same thing could happen with Voldemort, because Percy is chasing the wrong things. What are those things? I don't know. Is it all about the Ministry? And he'll come to the side of
His
good whenever the
title,
Ministry
probably.
shapes up? Maybe. Or is it going to be he sees Voldemort and says, no, that's real power. And he's really driven by some of these like dark things inside of him? Maybe. But I kind of think Umbridge will be good, but the kind of good we don't like. Like the most evil on the good side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, again, trying to blur these lines, I'm thinking there's good and bad, but there are bad good people and good people, bad people and good bad people.
It's what their definition of good is.
Yes.
What their baseline for what that stands
there you
for.
go.
If that makes sense.
And so
Here's our psychologist again.
Umbridge, I don't know. I think she would be against Voldemort, but she also has some really messed up views on what did they say?
But
half
why?
people?
Because she doesn't like half
Half-breeds.
exactly, and that's
Right.
the same thing he doesn't like.
But his is more about
Pure blood.
Yeah.
and is that really his only thing?
It seems like it. It must have something to do with like eternal life or something too. Maybe.
You're right, because it's about trying to live forever, and all of his Death Eaters want to defeat death. And Umbridge might be like, death's just another part of life, one that we all must face. Accidentally quoting Gandalf, but it's a great line. So I don't know. It's just like Umbridge might be down with tagging werewolves and merpeople, but does she want to kill them? And she didn't mention anywhere in there muggles. She didn't mention, I never want to say the M word, half-bloods, mixed blood people. Muggle-born people, thank you. She never mentioned them. So I just don't know if she would really align with Voldemort on stuff, or if she's just a very distasteful, good person by the end of the book. I really don't know. But that'd be a fun dynamic in the next book.
What if she's Voldemort?
Her and Lupin can really go at it.
Ooh, a little battle there.
What if she?
What if she does?
Honestly, it would be great because she's already in the school, close to Harry.
What would
Figuring
that end goal
out
be?
Dumbledore.
Maybe the secret weapon is in Hogwarts somewhere, because it
Maybe.
is the safest place. Then
She's
she's
close
using
to
all of this to
Dumbledore.
try and figure out where it is. Like it's hidden somewhere. She doesn't know how to get to it. And by she, meaning like if she was Voldemort.
And then she can like Hogwarts had like a core group of teachers that will stick together if you start plucking them out. Then you don't really have like a battle.
Destroy them from
a
within.
team.
Because she's doing that pretty well.
Yeah.
She's preventing them from learning defense against the dark arts, which comes off pretty evil.
And
she
that-
doesn't want them to
yeah.
be prepared.
No practicing magic.
But is that coming from Fudge because he's afraid of a Fudge Dumbledore? Or is that coming from Voldemort because he's afraid of a Ministry Voldemort battle? We don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. It's interesting. We'll keep going.
So many moving parts.
I know. Okay, who is your favorite character, and what is your favorite moment in these 3 chapters?
We know Danny's is Umbridge.
Yeah. I
Umbridge
love
is
the part
torture.
where- Hermione. Hermione was great. in
Doing
these
what?
chapters.
Her favorite. So your favorite character is Hermione.
Yeah, I feel like she called out Harry multiple times, said, stop biting our heads off for things. She was very level-headed. She helped with the homework. She was making hats for
Yeah.
the house elves. She's just like, she's holding it down.
Yeah.
People are going a little nuts around her and kind of losing their minds. And she's just like pretty steady. I think she was very needed for the mental sanity of everyone here. So yeah, as I was reading it, I felt like she kept standing out as being real solid. And maybe at the very end, of course, that always has the most like impact, the stuff that we just read. But at the very end, that whole conversation with Harry and like she's coming up with this brilliant idea of starting like a hidden, like secret dark arts training thing, Defense Against the Dark Arts. That's so cool. She's thinking really big picture. Oh, and there was another moment in here where she ignored homework. She was kind of like, homework doesn't matter. She's seeing the big picture.
Yep.
She's not getting lost in the day to day. She's actually seeing how that doesn't matter. The book is closed. Like, we got to learn. She's really looking into how it's going to affect them down the road. And it's funny that they've kind of swapped roles because now Harry and Ron seem to be really focused on, but what about homework? And this is due tomorrow. And she's like, guys, that doesn't even matter. Big picture. So yeah, I can't quite think of an exact moment.
Yeah,
but her
she
mind.
had a lot of really good moments in this. What about you guys? Want me to come up with yours, Kristen?
Yes, please.
I had a favorite moment. This might be yours too, Kristen. So I think my favorite is actually McGonagall in these chapters.
Ooh, nice.
I just scrolled all the way down and it says that.
McGonagall.
Nailed
favorite
it.
moment. McGonagall shutting Umbridge
Let's go.
down in her
Shutting
transfiguration.
Umbridge
You
down.
guessed it.
We're in sync. I love that.
Good job.
I think she's my favorite character in this. I think my favorite moment though is it's a weird moment, but something that I love about this is when Harry wakes up a little earlier and the whole castle is quiet and he makes his way down to the Owlery. As an introvert, I love the idea of like waking up early and everything's kind of quiet and still. Like I love early mornings and I love late nights. I love taking Wes for a walk during those times because the whole world feels like it's shut down. So I like Hogwarts is always bustling. The idea of waking up, everyone else is still sleeping, and you going down to the Owlery, no one else is around. It's like quiet, calm. You can kind of take a deep breath. I love that so much. I'm like, please let me go to Hogwarts just to walk around in the early mornings.
Oh, it sounds so
I
good.
love that. Like
That
whenever I'm
sounds so
traveling
nice.
or going to trips, I always wake up before the sunrise and just like have a quiet moment. Oh, it's so nice.
That's what I did at the cabin last year. I was up before everyone.
Yeah, I love it.
Just have my moments. And I've been getting home from work, tag teaming off of that, and it's dark. And I
Ooh, yeah.
get out of the car and it's just been clear and I just stare at the stars. Because there's like no one
Yeah.
outside, you know, it's
And
just
it's great
quiet.
in winter.
Just looking at the
Yeah.
stars.
Jen?
I don't know. You guys took all the good ones.
Harry standing up is
I
a good one
liked-
too.
Yeah.
That was great.
Who's just your favorite character? Who do you think takes the best character in this?
I think Hermione. I like her.
Yeah.
And then Harry, I can relate to with being so frustrated and
Yep.
having the truth be told. But I like when McGonagall gives it to Umbridge. That was great.
Oh, that feels so good.
Yep. That's
Those are
pretty
great
much
moments,
it.
yeah.
I know. I just want something different, but I can't think.
We'll pick you first next time.
Yeah, right. The bromance.
Danny's always just so quick to go. 'cause
I
there's a
know,
moment of
like
silence
I'm
and he's
so
like, "All right,
uncomfortable
this
with
is
silence
mine."
that like when the question's there, I'm like, I'll wait. I can't wait. All right, fine, this is my answer.
When does it actually process you'll wait? Because it's like bleh, right
Real
after.
silence.
Yeah, in real time, it's like that, but in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm waiting.
Yeah. It
Count
is funny.
to 20.
Yeah. When you're in the moment,
1, 2, 3, 4,
those
5,
moments
20.
of silence feel like 20 seconds. When I'm editing the podcast later and there's a moment of silence, like 2 seconds before someone speaks. You feel like it's so much longer when you're
Yeah,
just
it's
sitting there
so
waiting.
true.
But anyway, thanks for joining us on our journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
John, did you do any more
That's a lot.
digging on if there are spoilers in the video game?
There's small spoilers. I don't think enough to like detract you from certain things. Like, we'll have
Because
like a whole
somehow
session.
Instagram knew.
I know.
And
I know.
it started hitting me with the ads. Oh,
It just
got
knows
me.
you're on a podcast
It
about
got
Harry
me.
Potter.
Yeah, and so then I was like, oh my goodness, this game looks amazing.
Yeah.